Hello, everybody, and we are now live. I'll already see some people in the live stream, which is great. See Patty and Bat Falcon. Glad you are here. We'll give it a little few minutes. There's Lisa. I knew you wouldn't miss it. You're not gonna miss anything. Lisa's not gonna miss anything that misses the chase. No way. And she's definitely wasn't gonna miss Gonzo for sure. She's a big Gonzo fan, like I am. And I want to wait just a little bit longer because there's like a 2 minute lag till everybody gets the notice from YouTube. Sometimes I get it like 3 minutes late when I hit reminder on a show, and I'm like, I know it's already started, but I don't get the notice. It's just that weird lag. Nicky B, there you are. I'm going to bring you on pretty soon. Nicky B is going to be on this show after we wrap with Gonzo for a little while. Hope you're doing well, Nicky. All right, this is going to be the introduction for tonight's first guest. Is Ronnie Gonzales, and he's known as Gonzo. And he appreciates a good mystery. As an avid outdoorsman and climber and high altitude diver, Gonzo likes to explore remote terrain in a state he considers his outdoor playground. Given his combined interest, it's probably no surprise that he spent 8 years attempting to track down the Forrest Fenn treasure in the Rocky Mountains. Now, in honor of Finn and treasure hunting in general, he has hidden his own treasure in Wyoming and is inviting people to join the hunt. In 2010, Finn, a wealthy art dealer from New Mexico, self published his memoir in which he wrote that he had hidden a treasure somewhere in the Rocky Mountains. The memoir contained a poem with clues about where the $2 million treasure could be found. Thousands of people searched for the treasure, Gonzo among them. The chest of golden jewels was reportedly found in the West Yellowstone in 2020 by a 32-year-old medical student, Jack. I'm going to screw this guy's name up, so Gonzo, you're going to have to correct me when you come on. Jack Steuff, Stef. Lisa, I know you know it. You're probably screaming at me right now. Whose identity was leaked following the hacking of his emails and texts to Finn. There was also a handful of lawsuits challenging the validity of the find as well as Finn's role in hiding it, most of which have been thrown out of court. Finn himself died at his home in Santa Fe, as many speculated on the exact location of the exact location the treasure was found and whether Finn shared the secret. Gonzo later hiked to the spot where it's believed the treasure was found. He's convinced it's the right place, putting an end to the mystery for himself at least. In addition to the Finn mystery, Gonzo is a longtime fan of the DB Cooper mystery and is making a short film about the heist. And we're going to get into that. He already told me a little bit about it. Sounds freaking great. He also investigated many true crime cases in Colorado and surrounding areas, including the Watts family murders and the missing persons case of Suzanne Morphew, among others. Please welcome to the show, Gonzo. There you are.
What's going on, Drew? How are you?
Pretty good, man. Did I screw anything up?
No, man, I think you got it. And that name is Jack Stoof. You were
Stoof,
close.
man, stuff, Stoof. I should have watched the video. Get that, Stoof.
Lisa might backhand you, but I'm good. You're good on my end, so no problems.
I'm glad you corrected me on that. So first thing, because I know before I forget, there's always one thing. Like if we, I'd finish the whole show and never think of one thing I wanted to ask first though. Is there's all these, and I'll put some of these up for sure. There's all these cool pictures of you doing handstands out, in different places, and you did one like on a skateboard or something, and you went like
Yeah.
30 feet. I think it was a one arm handstand or something. Like, how do you do that? I couldn't have done that when I was 18. How do you do that, man? That's like you're shaming everybody. I mean, that's like it's like amazing how you can do all this stuff. And you're jumping into these high cliff jumps because I definitely wanted to add that because you're all these beautiful pictures of you jumping into these awesome bodies of water off these high cliffs and riding your Harley around is incredible. But my first question is, who's taking these pictures of you?
Oh man, yeah, good question. So anybody that I can get in the close vicinity that wants to hold a camera, a lot of times if I really don't have anybody out there with me, I'll put it on a 10-second timer and I have to go, I got to nail this thing first try. So there's a lot of really cool, this, everything out here is a playground to me. I do this adventure athlete stuff, ultra running to rock climbing, technical walls. And man, I've tied that into true crime somehow with getting boots on the ground. But yeah, man, anybody who's out there that's just interested in taking a photo, I'll say, hey man, grab this camera, let's go. This is what I plan on doing. Yeah, I got some, half a block rides on my handstands, just crazy stuff. I'm just an adventure guy that likes to mix it up a bit, so it's always fun.
Yeah, but those are great, man. Like I love it on your Instagram or
Thank you.
you have a YouTube channel too, and I'll have the link for that. But it's just great seeing that stuff. I'm like, man, you're living the life out there, and I mean, you're not one of these hey, get the attention on me guys at all, because I could already tell about you that you're not like that. You're living your life, and you're helping anybody you can help, and
Absolutely.
you're really you're quiet about it. Like you're this larger in life guy, colorful guy, but you perfectly merge it with this mellow, cool, laid back, here to help anybody kind of into one, which is so awesome.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, like I said, if I could use my skill set to go help out, whether it's search and rescue, get boots on the ground, and go get a good vantage point. I'm all about the vantage point. If I can get to a case study and just get good eyes on things, talk to the locals, be like water, soak it up. I get a lot of stuff done that way. I meet a lot of families of the victims of some of these true crime cases that I'm working.
Yeah,
Um,
that I know how that is with Yuba County 5. I mean, I know you met victims' families from all different crimes, but the one I really got to know was the ones from Yuba County 5 and the family members, and it affects you. I
it
mean, when you
does.
feel the loss that they had, and I got to know them all, and they've had all these other tragedies in their lives, which you find out about that weren't even related to what happened to their loved one in a crime case or a missing person, and it just really to
It's
take that
surreal.
on, yeah, it really is. So that's fantastic that you do that.
I'm so glad that you're covering and have covered for a very long time the Yuba County 5. I used to live out that way. I lived in Grass Valley for a little bit, squatted out there just north of Sac. And man, I was on the Yuba River. I got some high dives, 100-foot high dives into the Yuba River, into the Whitewater.
Wow.
That's my area. So then when I heard that case and then I heard you're covering it and then I've watched some of your work, man, it's super cool to see that you're covering it, keeping it in the light, and it's a very interesting area, and that case needs to stay alive. So,
Yeah,
uh,
absolutely. I'm going to do my best to keep it alive. And Tony Doug Wright that I mentioned to you
cheers.
earlier,
Yes,
Shannon McGarvey that did the U-Boat podcast, which is great that I'm a part of, but they produced it. And I'm hoping to have Jackie Hewitt's brother and sister-in-law on this show next week,
whoa,
which will be the first time I had a victim's family members on. So that should be really good. It's a gut wrencher though,
it is. It
what they
hurts.
went
It
through.
pulls at the heartstrings. That case is, oh my god, it's haunting. And then when talking to the locals over there, and I got friends in the area, I'm like, they still don't let it go. And I'm just glad that you and him and they are out here to keep that thing going and keep it in the light. And man, important, big work. Cheers to you, man. That's great.
Man, cheers to you because you're keeping a lot of these cases going. A lot of them that don't get a lot of attention. So I know
True.
get some of these on the bigger YouTube channels. I mean, I co-host a show that's pretty big that I try to get some of the cases on. And
Absolutely.
I know you were on a show not too long ago talking about the little girls that were killed in the fire,
Yeah, the Flora girls in
the Flora
Flora,
girls. Yeah,
Indiana.
I hadn't heard of that.
Yeah, that's just right. That's 8-9 miles away from Delphi, the Delphi double homicide on that big bridge, the Monon High Bridge. I think that case is number 1 or 2 in true crime active. It's 5 years out. Actually, it's coming up. It's about 6 years out. I mean, it's getting there. It's looking. I mean, 5 years, you're a cold case, but that case has a lot of traction, a lot of light, and a lot of eyes on it still. So I go down to Delphi as much as I can. I'm from the Midwest here. Wyoming is kind of where I station, and I'm in Denver a lot. So I'm out in Indiana looking into that case. I got another one in Rogersville, Tennessee, the Summer Wells case. A little 5-year-old
Yeah, I knew
girl
you were
went
covering
missing.
that. Yeah,
That,
that's really gut wrenching. I mean,
that's a
and you can't
big one.
cover them all. I mean, just
You can't.
what you're already looking into. I bet your plate is full. I mean, and
Yeah.
with everything else you do.
True. Yeah. I mean, the Flora girls, they do need some help right now because some of their funding reward money for any tips, anything that comes in just got moved to the fire department that was actually late on their response to get to the fire, and people are up in arms, and we're trying to
Yeah,
raise a little awareness for that. And I was just
yeah.
on Grizzly True Crime
That's
last week, and she's got a good thing going in the true crime world. If you don't
Oh
know
wow, she
Gizla
does.
K,
Yeah, she does. She's great, and
she's
she's got
awesome.
booming her. I mean, her followers are like really love her, and you too. And
She's moving.
because you guys are raising awareness and getting into where the money that was raised and
Yeah,
misappropriated and
there
really
you go.
important things. Because there's some bad people out there that don't do the right thing.
Absolutely. I say do the right things for the right reasons, and we can work together as true crowdsourcing platforms. And Gizla K's doing big work. You're doing big work, and man, I'm just happy to be here chatting with you about it. Yeah, I got several cases going on. Like I said, I can't get to them all the time, but I look into them. I'm fortunate enough to be able to hit the road a lot and actually get boots on the ground and get into these cases. And man, it's big work. I love it.
Yeah. There's nothing like being there. I mean, I saw where you were at not too long after they found Gabby Petito's body. You were in that. You were at that site.
Yeah, I was the first YouTuber allowed in. And
Wow.
I don't
How
do the
explain that? I mean, explain what it was like going in there because that case was international. And I know
yes,
you rolled
yes.
up a viral video being the first
Yep.
guy there. I mean, so what? Explain all that. That's amazing.
Yeah, in a nutshell, I was working with, and I still work with a few research buddies that really helped me grind on these cases. And at the time, I just came back from Moab, Utah. That's where Gabby and Brian had that big blowout. I was pretty much there at the same time they were in Moab. And had I known what I didn't know there was going to be this issue and a murder was going to take place. But that murder happened in Wyoming. That's my home state.
Mm-hmm.
This is my backyard. And I was just coming back from Moab, and one of my researchers said, "Hey, we think she's probably in Wyoming, probably around Yellowstone." So I shagged ass that way. And, I would have been about 15, 18 miles off course. I was actually heading towards Gannett Mountain, Gannett Peak, but
Mm-hmm.
I think I would have been trending towards Spread Creek where she was found.
That's Grand Tetons, right?
Yep. So right outside the Tetons, man, it was surreal. I got there and I was a little late, but they had just found her that day, and I pulled in. They wouldn't allow me in, but the next morning I was the first guy there when they let the public in. Nobody had showed up. I got in and I kind of helped a couple guys erect some things in the ground to like
Yeah, I saw the cross. Was
memorandum.
it the who? I saw the cross you took a picture of,
There's
like
a
with the rocks.
there's a big
Beautiful.
mystery of the crosses. So there's two crosses out there. There was one made by her father and another made by 4 or 5 random people. And I was right there. I don't take credit for the cross, but
You got a great
man, I
picture
met.
of it. And I think you were one of the first to photograph it.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, definitely. That went kind of viral. I got a ring right here. This is Gabby Petito's ring here. This is a replica, but I don't know if you can see it, but this is near and dear to me. There's only about 2 of these out there. My friend Cat
That's
Danger Young and
amazing.
yeah, we got these, and it's like I got the blessing of her stepdad, of Gabby's stepdad. I was respectful. I wasn't out there waving a camera and trying
No,
to
you're not like that.
exploit
I'll
it.
be the first to say, yeah,
Yeah, I don't
yeah.
like to get out on the camera and just drop a live right on the
So
site.
her
You know,
stepfather gave you that? That's what.
no, I got his
Oh, that's
blessing.
what Nicky said.
Yeah, so yeah, I got a lot of good, blessings with just whoever's out there, man. There was a lot of really good people. There was some reporters that were showing up, some writers. I mean, there was a couple like crime scene techs that were like closing up shop and stuff. And I got to meet some really cool people. And man, it was surreal, amazing, very sad. And that case still haunts to this day. And I mean,
Oh, it's just awful.
it just
I mean,
shows you the
they're all
process
terrible, but
works.
yeah, just young, beautiful, prime of her life, and what do you think is? I mean, just on a bigger level, what do you think's going on with some of these younger people, and what would Brian had a good life going. It seems. I mean, good.
Yeah,
The parents seem good and decent upbringing, and it had Gabby. What is going on with in their minds? Do you think that would cause this? Were they born that way to be kind of like a narcissist mind, or we just will never know.
I don't know, man. That the rate of depression right now with young kids and adolescents. I mean, who knows? I've never felt that. I can't really align with it, but I do know that there's like an epidemic in this country with sad kids, and it's like, what's going on? Like, what did we do to get you guys here? But man, it's probably a rabbit hole that we don't want to get too crazy in because we'll never know the answer. But man, there is a lot of cases like that, a lot of younger kids doing bad things, and it sucks. It's sad. I mean, damn, that case hurt.
Yeah, I mean that's awful. What about
Thanks, Lisa.
what about Suzanne Morphew? I know you can't, give away everything you know on the ground, and I know you got these sources out there that like were telling you where
Absolutely.
Gabby was. So you always want to protect those. That's huge.
Absolutely.
Those people are your gold. I mean, that you have these people? I have people that help me sometimes. I have researchers that I got a guy in California, an ex-Vietnam vet that I do a lot of Zodiac stuff with, just emailing and stuff like that. But you got people on the ground that are calling you on your phone. Hey, I got a lead on this, Gonzo, and then you go check it out. But what do you think about? I know you're really into that case too. With she was a mom. She went missing on her bike. How long ago now has that one been?
Yeah, that was on Mother's Day, 2020. Yeah, Suzanne Morphew just vanished into basically the Maysville Canyon, which is Poncha Springs, Maysville, right outside of Salida. We call it Monarch Pass. Yeah, it's a really crazy case. I've been on that thing since really the beginning of it. I just came off another case that was in Colorado as well. And the Kelsey Barrett case, we kind of had a hand in that one as well. But yeah, I got a lot of steam on the Suzanne Morphew disappearance, and I've met all the players in the game over there. I mean, Barry Morphew was at court trial hearings, this and that. I was all over the place. I'm still out there about every other week. I go to Salida and actually just get in touch with the locals if I can get down there, talk to people. I've been on the property. I've had my run-ins with the suspect. I mean,
So what's
it's
the
a wild
status
one.
of it now? I mean, what's the status of the case? Just open and active, or
Yeah, so they dropped the charges on Barry Morphew. They had a grand jury. Everything was going to trial. They were going to do the trial outside of Salida or outside of Chaffee County. They were going to take it over to Canyon City area, and he got himself a couple really good bulldog lawyers, and these women have got, in my opinion, murderers, off on major charges before. I mean,
so it's a
these
real
lawyers,
high profile, bulldogs.
badasses. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he got some really good women lawyers that are just they pretty much poked a bunch of holes in what the DA was doing and some of the arrest affidavit. They went nuts on this thing. Basically, they dropped the charges and dropped the case, pending, but they can still retry later on.
Yeah, if they
So
found evidence later on, or if they find her
true.
remains, which they have not been found. I mean, nothing, right? I mean, her
No, no.
bicycle was found, I think.
Yep. Her bicycle was found just right down the road from her home. There was this story that she went on a bike ride that morning, and then boom, she fell off. I mean, wrecked, and was taken by a bobcat, was taken up the mountain by a mountain lion. Her husband, he was definitely he's definitely still the biggest POI in that deal. I could go for days on that case, but yeah, I've got probably hundreds of boots on the ground hours out around that property, in and around the community that is Poncha Springs, Salida, Maysville, Colorado. Man, I've got just tons of work into it. And like I said, I got some researchers that help out, really awesome women that are just grinding. They're kind of like Nicky B. They're kind of like
Yeah.
Lisa.
Oh
They're
yeah.
just,
Nikki's like hitting it. I mean, yeah, I can't
they're
imagine
just
having like a
nonstop.
team, like 10 Nickies out there,
That's it.
just
Yes.
boom, and just grinding away all day. I mean, that's gonna. I mean, you keep doing that, it's gonna turn up something. I mean,
Yeah.
it's gonna. I mean, now you know where she's not, definitely,
Yes.
knowing the
Beat the
area where she
streets.
isn't, and just to
That's
find
it.
the remains. I mean, because we could all be pretty sure that she's not still alive somewhere,
That's true.
unfortunately. But to
Yeah.
find the remains would just be great for her. I know she's daughters.
Closure.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
immense closure for the family. Like I've been in contact with her brother Andy Mormon, and he lives in Indiana. And I had one thing to say to him. Several times we've talked a few times, and I told him I'm never going to stop looking for your sister until this thing's closed. And that case sprouted another case in South Fork, Colorado. Another missing woman went off a 1,000-foot cliff, and pretty much our team showed trust the process. We came together and pretty much verified. We pretty much brought that case to a close. So it just shows
That's
like being out
fantastic.
there grinding, can really get, we can get a lot of traction. We do things respectfully,
Yeah,
handle
and you
it with
bring
tact.
comfort. When you come in like that, you're unassuming and you're
Exactly.
kind and you're there to help. And the family, they figure that out, and you get to know one, and they're like, yeah, he's good, and you bring
That's it.
comfort to them.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you don't go up there trying to, get monetary gains and shoving cameras out there, and you handle it like a complete pro. If you're out there, we don't touch things. We get body cams and stuff. I'm not
Yeah,
handling
yeah,
crime scenes, but I've been to a couple now, and there's a certain amount of professionalism you got to use as being a researcher, as being a boots on the ground searcher as well. And it's just been a blessing to be able to do this kind of work. It's led me all over the country several times, and man, I'm just excited for it. I'm
you
here
got
for
that
the next
energy.
case.
You got
Thank
that
you.
energy. I mean, I see these things, these pictures you post. It's like 5 a.m. in this ghost town, and you have these awesome, beautiful pictures. There's like nothing, no one awake, not a light on, and you're out there.
We own the world at that time. 4 in the morning, you get a lot done. Get up early, stay up late. That's what the true crime researchers do. So yeah, I'm trying to put up a heavy pace, and I try to bring that into the Cooper world as well. Go down these rabbit holes, check boxes, and it's just awesome, man. And it took me into the treasure hunt world, and
Yeah, I want to
you
get
know,
I want to get into that. So you were this is where I want to go. You were what came first, chicken or the egg? Was it Forrest Finn and the ha ha ha, or was it DB Cooper? Because I know a lot of the people that were on the hunt were into that, and then the ha 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 book, and then they kind of sprouted out into the DB Cooper world. Which
man.
was it for
So
you?
for me, really, they kind of merged really close to the same time. Ha 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 book, I still don't have a copy of, and I have been waiting. So Nicky B, we got to come through clutch for me. I know you got a lead on that. Um, but yeah, so the Finn chase and the speculation. Several people have thought Finn was Cooper. Finn could pull it off. That whole situation. I mean, I've always been into the Finn world. I was into treasure hunts before Forrest hit his treasure, but that one really got me going. That was as close to like some Goonies, you know, real good, mystery stuff that I could actually go do. So, yeah,
So
that
you
that
you
merge.
wanted to find it. I mean,
Oh
knowing
yeah,
a guy like you were like, I'm going to find it. So
oh
how
yeah,
how
I was
did the
close.
I don't know the Chase that well, even though I know so many people from the Chase world, like Lisa. Nikki knows it well too. But how were the clues put out there? Like when did this is Forrest Finn here on the screen holding his book about it, and then obviously the book on the right is Ha Ha Ha, which people
Oh man,
read and thought this may have been for they were talking about Finn in there, right? And Ha Ha
yeah,
Ha is where that comes from.
yeah, yeah. I mean, ha 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 is like the holy grail for hardcores, right? Like I know Darren's got a copy. I guarantee, man, there's not very many of them left. Those
No, they're
things are
going for like
treasure in
I think
themselves.
like last time any would come up, they were like $300.
Yeah, yeah, I need one. I mean, if I'm out hunting treasure, that's a piece of treasure I need to have. So the book, the poem, I mean, I got into Finn pretty hard. I like I said, I was a chaser for about 8 years, 8 9 years. But really, I was just backpacking and hiking and swimming in crazy water and doing that outdoor stuff. Anyways, I just figured I would take Forrest's hints with me wherever I went, and I would apply them to whatever area I was in. I wasn't necessarily in a lot of the forums, just like I'm not in the drop zone, and
Yeah,
I don't do a lot of the forums in DB Cooperville, but man, like I hang out, I watch, I sit back, I meet people, and
absorb
that's what
it.
I did. Yes, yes, that's what I did with the hunt team, and I met some really good people along the way. I was really close to the treasure in Wyoming once. I didn't even know it. I
Wow.
focused a
So
lot around
where
New
exactly was
Mexico.
it found? Just for
Well,
everybody.
yeah, so it's still out there. The jury's still out, but yeah, we got a lead on West Yellowstone,
Right.
and
That's what I thought. They found it in West Yellowstone, but the
yeah,
people with Yellowstone don't want that location disclosed because they think that all these pilgrimage from the Chase people that love it so much are gonna like make it a
abs.
memorial site or trash it or
Well,
just screw up the land or something. Is that right?
it's true. Yeah. So I mean, I'll just say West Yellowstone. I won't. I mean, if you dig into it from there, you're gonna figure it out. But let's just say it's kind of like the Cooper case, you're going to have naysayers that say that's not the spot, that's not the solve, that didn't
Right.
happen. You know how it is. So actually, in the Forrest Finn chase, in the thrill of the chase, the chasers are kind of have gotten at each other's throats as well. So there's a lot of drama in that community as well. It gets deep, just like people can get into the weeds with Cooper and say, no, that's not the guy. He's not. He doesn't match that. That doesn't work for me. It's like, man, I went to a spot that I believe wholeheartedly and it's covered. It's well known now, in West Yellowstone. And I went to the spot. It matches up with the poem. It matches up with everything from the
Yeah,
book.
so there's really no reason to doubt it. Yeah, the that site is like in DB Cooper world, the flight path now that's
There you
will be
go.
argued until the end of time.
There you go.
It would
There
be
you go.
the site where they found it. So what's the any controversy going on now with Stoof, right? Am I saying that right? The
Yeah.
guy that found it. So
Yeah.
is there some scuttlebutt that he got information that he shouldn't had, or it was staged for him to find it, or what exactly is going on with that? And if he found the treasure in Yellowstone, well, do they try to claim it now, or what? Who gets
There you
to?
go.
What was it worth when he found it, first of all, and then who exactly would own it? Him, or that's all like in the courts, right?
Yeah. So right now, I mean, a couple weeks ago, they were in litigation with the estate. And I won't get too far into it, but basically, long story short, a lot of people thought Jack made friends with Forrest, and Forrest was checking out. He knew he had a little bit of time left, and he said, "Hey, man, there's emails exchange," and Forrest was really neutral. He had thousands of emails coming in. He couldn't just bing 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 answer every one of them and have everybody give him more clues and stuff. He was top class, top flight on that. And people thought that maybe Jack Stoof got infiltrated his guard a little bit and got in there a little bit deeper, and then boom, he's the one with the solve. There's speculation that he didn't really get the solve right. He just found it. So there's
Yeah,
people
just like
still out
blind
there
luck,
debating.
maybe.
Yep. So there's still people debating the solve as well. So it's like, yeah, somebody could find Cooper, but that doesn't mean they put in the groundwork, right? They just,
Right. Maybe
oh,
they just were hunting or doing
that's it.
yeah, and just got lucky.
Exactly. So I mean, the chase is just as cloudy and murky as the DB Cooper deal. So I mean, you could get lost in the drama all day on both ends.
I bet.
Obviously, look at the docuseries, and I'm glad that's boosted Cooper's
Oh,
ratings.
I'm shocked by how much it boosted it. I'm
Oh man, I
stunned.
got people that are like, we know Cooper. What's going on with that? And I just watched this, and I'm like, man, okay, well, if you like that, stay tuned. I mean, I know a few of the guys are grinding. As well as I know. I mean, there's a couple people that got snubbed, in my opinion. That's
Oh,
going to
that's how those
happen.
things. That's how those things go.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like we know who the grinders are in the vortex, right? Like Darren, the man. Man, he just lives 4 hours from me, 3-4 hours.
Yeah,
Like
you told me
that,
you've stopped in on them before because you're working in that area and
I
you're
need
around
to.
Denver and yeah. I thought you were
Yeah,
going to try one day. I know you'll
yeah.
catch them.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna catch him one day. I mean, he's done so much for getting light back on Cooper and being a neutral ground right in the middle, listening to everybody, and just I watched every one of his episodes 5 times over because I was just like, I'm learning something new every time. Sometimes I got to throw out what I thought I knew. Sometimes I just learn a new minute detail about POI. But man, I
Yeah.
went down those rabbit holes as well. Physically, boots on the ground. I chased Gossett around. I chased
Yeah, I
Dwayne
was heavy
Weber
into him
around.
too.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I liked him, but yeah, Nikki and I were digging when we find out the name of the German Shepherd that was with Brian Ingram's dad. That's why
Yes.
he took. That's how he knew about the Tina bar because he'd take George the police dog there. That's me and Nikki teaming up
Oh,
and getting into the weeds
you guys
because
get
that
in
whole thing
deep.
is so weird, and Nikki asked Brian, was the dog there the day you found the money on the Tina
Yes,
bar? And Brian said, no, the dog didn't like to be around people. It was skittish. The
man.
ex-police dog was skittish, so we had a good laugh about it. But that's digging. When you
That's
find out the
digging.
name of the Ingram's dog, you're into the case.
That's it. Nikki's done phenomenal work. He doesn't get enough kudos, man.
No, he
I've been
doesn't. He
talking.
doesn't.
He is 24/7. he's a grinder, man. He's an
Yeah.
unsung hero of this. And, I know he's well connected with Eric. I know he's well connected with
And
you and,
Bruce and
and Bruce and Uncle Bruce and Darren. I mean, this is the crew to have on Cooper. And I'm just stoked to be just kind of that guy that gets to hang with the boys that are really digging. And
yeah, I feel the same way as you with Nicky and Darren. When I first went on the Vortex the first time, I didn't have a book out. I
yeah,
like Braden, and I heard Bruce talking about him with Snowman, and found out some more about him, and just wanted to. I'd never been on a podcast, never did a YouTube, nothing. That was the
yeah,
first thing I ever did, and Darren was so super cool. Oh, hey, yeah, man. And I remember he told a story once. I think I was like the first person that reached out to him wanting to be on the show. Because everybody
yeah.
else, he went and found, hey, will you be on my show? I'm going to do a all DB Cooper podcast. And that's how it came together. But I think I was the first
Man,
person that said, can I be on your show? And he was like, yeah, I made
good.
it.
Dude, you did. That's where I found out about you. And then, I started following your channel and man, you've been grinding. The work you've done on Braden is next level. I mean, that's up there, man. Like that's up there for me. People can get into the Rackstraw deal and everybody else, Walter Recca, and you can go down all those roads. Braden and Klansnick and Gossett a little bit. Those guys are all super badass dudes, interesting. The work you did with Braden, man, I haven't finished the book, and when I do finish it, I'm going to give you a badass review.
Oh,
Oh,
appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. If I
so
known you at the time, would have given you one. But no,
yeah,
I
we'll get it.
appreciate it. And it
I'm going to
still
knock
goes
it
on.
out
And, and I still like looking at other suspects too. I'm like,
for sure.
because I like to be part of the Cooper world and not just always be pigeonholed. Oh, he's pushing Braden. He's an all Braden guy. And I
We
love
can
being the
push.
representative for Braden. Don't get me wrong. And I always will be. But I like
Yes.
talking about things in the vortex in general too. And I mean, and
Oh,
I
it's
can still
great.
objectively look at anybody, not always put them down or something new. I mean, yeah, I mean, look at it because I wasn't sitting on that plane. I wish I was, but I
Yeah. Oh man,
wasn't. And that's the only way you would really ever really know. Were
that's
you on
true.
the plane?
Exactly. You can champion a POI all day, but yeah, that's why I love Darren's approach is he's willing to listen to anything and as long as it's not super far fetched and out there. And I
Some
mean,
of it
that's
is.
important. Yes. Oh yeah. A lot of it. Yeah. I went down a few things with him. I'm actually looking into one thing that I learned from the Vortex and I bounced it off Nicky and I'll have to tell you backstage sometime. It's pretty interesting, but man, I just love that neutral approach. And then yeah, you can champion your POI and take it to the end and still listen and learn. And we're all here to learn. I'm just here, man. All the stuff with Rim Crew, Crucible Steel, the
Yeah,
Patel
Nikki.
stuff.
Yeah,
Man, them
yeah, it's
guys are
fascinating.
digging.
It's awesome to dig into that. The
Those
Tom K
guys are
stuff and
yeah,
Nikki and Eric and that stuff is awesome. I
it
mean,
is.
just so how did you get into Cooper? And Nikki, jump
Man,
on. We're gonna jump on when you can, Nikki. Make sure you have the link.
I got into Cooper, yeah, like I said, years ago. I always knew about it. The Leonard Nimoy special. I watched that. I went digging way
In
back.
search of is awesome.
In Search of was super cool. Unsolved Mysteries. Robert Stack was always just the man, like just the haunting
Love it.
individual that. Yeah. So I always knew the case, and then in high school, I actually like tried to do a report on Cooper, and I was kind of that kid that I had ADHD and I just had to run. But man, I did this one report. My teacher thought it was pretty cool. He knew the case. He's like, man, that's pretty wild. You should really keep going on this stuff. And then, my attention to all these mysteries and stuff. I'm really working on 3 mysteries in this world. And, you know, Cooper's always been number 1. And then the Escape from Alcatraz,
Oh, I love
Frank
that.
Frank and the Englands,
I love
that has
that.
a lot of that's my number 2, and then the JFK assassination is 3. I've been out to Dealey many times. I've been on the grassy knoll. I've shot videos. I shot a drone down there last year from the 6th floor down to the X marks the spot. So I'm digging into all the conspiracies there. I mean, a lot of people don't know like Charles Harrelson, Woody Harrelson's dad,
Oh yeah.
was
Oh
behind the
yeah.
fence. A lot of people
Right.
don't know that, and
A lot of
a
people
lot of
didn't
people
know that.
yeah, and like E. Howard Hunt was Tramp C. He was one of the tramps down there, and that dude was missing on assignment in 71. Like people just don't know this stuff. So those are the rabbit holes I've ran
I
down
love
and
those rabbit holes. And I always think when I think of JFK, though, I think of Madeline Brown talking at
there you
her
go.
story on YouTube because she came off as so truthful in that, but she's
Yes.
not. I
Yeah, yeah,
mean, this is
exactly.
somehow somebody can lie or weave in truth with lies
Yeah,
and be so believable, and that throws things off. You know, her whole
that's
story about
diabolical.
LBJ, and that she was over at Clint Murchison's house, and they were talking about how they're going to kill JFK the next day, and
True.
all that. And it was like it's such a believable story till you dig into it, because Murchison was out on his ranch. He wasn't even there that night.
Exactly.
Actually, his aunt, Murchison's aunt, was my great grandfather's uh, wife's sister. So like, we have a
Oh,
connection there, which is kind of cool. And my uncle
yeah.
is good friends with John Connolly Jr.
Whoa. Okay.
Good friends with him. So of course his parents were in the car. And
Insane.
of course, he would come into my uncle's. I was working for my uncle at the time, and the guy would come in. They go to lunch a lot, and I asked him, "Hey, what do you think about the lone gunman theory?" And he goes, "I think it's a bunch of bullshit." He
For
goes like, "We
sure.
just flat out, the dude said it." And I mean, that was huge, because this guy's parents, and it hit me. This guy's parents were in the car. You know,
Exactly.
this
If
is
you hang
huge.
with the right people and you listen and really respectable, and you just sit back and listen in the area, you're going to learn a lot from the locals, and that's what I do. I go down to Dallas and I really get in there with the locals. That's a huge one for me. Like I said, with all these cases that I work on, I like to go there, feel it. I'm a physical guy. I like to dig my toes into the ground, put my
Yeah.
hands into the earth, and pull things back, and that's the approach I have. What's up, Nicky?
What's up,
Nikki, what's
guys?
going on?
What's
There
going
he
on?
is.
We're staying good. What I
Nice.
know,
Good.
Nick. So Nikki, I know like Bruce is the mayor of Cooperville. Like you need a line like that. I mean, Nicky B's like a cool name. Gonzo's such a cool nickname, but I'm like, you need like a title, because Bruce is the mayor. I'm thinking like
He
you should be
does.
the district attorney of Cooperville or something, because
Who's
you
the
like know
guy?
everything going on.
The
Who's the guy
DA.
that's underrated guy in town with the seat that people are like, I'm gonna step over this guy, but he's the important guy. He's the gluten.
Yeah,
That's
he's the one
Nicky.
that knows. Hey, this guy's over here. I know he's over here. Like, who's on first with our baseball
That's
theme? Because I know Gonzo's a baseball guy, so we did that.
oh
Oh yeah.
yes.
Oh yeah,
So is
definitely.
Nicky. Yeah,
And
man.
I'm
You're
a big baseball fan too. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I got to do some digging to find the right name that we can, because those guys don't get the shine, right? So it's not like
yeah.
not like we got Barry Bonds or Babe Ruth to to use as comparisons,
You're
but
a utility man from hell, Nicky. I love it.
there you go. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I could throw out some baseball references, but probably nobody will know the name besides me and you, Gonzo. You
You're
know
the
that's
DH. Yes, sir.
The
There you
DH.
go.
He is the
Nah,
yeah.
exactly.
He is the
Yeah,
DH.
you guys are
yeah, man.
grinders, man. I'm just stoked to be here. I'm just a
Oh,
fly on the
dude.
wall today.
Oh,
So
dude. We're all. I mean, I think we're all grinders here in different respects. I got so much appreciation for you, Gonzo, and the way you approach things, and the way you do it. Um, like I'm most of the time behind my computer screen here, web sleuthing and
yeah,
looking different stuff up from more of a digital from a more digital type of realm, and you're out there in the physical, like you said. I think it's so cool, because most of these, especially with these true crime cases, right? There's scenes of the crimes, and there's areas where these things happen, and not it's hard to get that, because it's hard for people to travel and all of that. I
true.
know, Gonzo, you have I know you told me, you're kind of fortunate that your line of work allows you to travel around and kind of do this,
Yes,
and which I think is awesome, because not a lot of people, most people got to work like 9 to 5s and kind of stay close to home. So it's kind of really cool that you decided to incorporate this, because I said most people, it's not even feasible for them to do.
that's
So the
true.
fact that it's feasible for you, and you got the passion, and you're doing this is freaking awesome, man. Because
Thank you.
if you're not doing it, I don't think nobody else is. From what I'm seeing, like, you're really like one of the only ones out there, like on these scenes, on the grinding, like in that kind of way. So, dude, mad props to you, brother.
Thanks, Nicky. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a due diligence. It's an obligation. If I'm able to get to scenes, I get people writing me, emailing me, "Hey, man, can you look at this? Do you know this person? Have you been here?" I'm like, "No, but I'll go there and I'll show up." And
Right, Right.
I feel like that's kind of my job now. I feel like I have to, if I say I'm going to do it, I want to show up. I want to put eyes and ears on it. I want to be in a good vantage point. I want to see it all from what it, face value. I want to be there within the first 48. If I can be there, first 72 in some of these active cases, I'll be there.
Yeah, so
some
much
of the
could be
old
lost,
school.
so much
You're
could
right.
be lost that you remember being so close to when it happened.
There's this cool thing that I want to get going is I want to be like a deployment center where I can deploy within the first 24, 48 hours. So I can go catch the ground. I can see how much snow was on the ground, where these vehicles were sitting at the time of in the first 48, what moved in the crime scene or around the crime scene, and just document it, keep it on file. That way, if something does come up or mystery keeps rolling, then we have things to go back, That's kind of the way I want to see it go. But right now I'm just out here grinding, moving around, do a lot of work in Colorado, New Mexico. And I'm just here for everything, man. So it's fun.
That's so dope, man, because you can get a whole nother perspective that you can't just get behind your computer screen. Like I know with Cooper, I didn't, until I went out to the drop zone, until I went out to Tina Bar where the money was found, all I had were kind of pictures and, people kind of
surreal.
People kind of describing it and talking about it. But until you're actually there getting from, like you say, Gonzo, that actual vantage point, it adds a whole nother layer. To kind of your perspective, it adds a new layer on the lens of your perspective. So
that's true. I did that with Zodiac going out there to the
yes.
site.
And Gonzo,
seeing where they were and how close two of the top four crimes were how close they were to each other and how quickly I got from one to the other. And
surreal, man.
You think of it differently when you've been there. And
it's
like
a
Zodiac with
view.
a town like Vallejo, it hasn't changed. Man, that town has not changed since the murders and 50 years ago. It's like it's stuck in time.
You have to see it.
It's kind of the same way with with the FBI drop zone there. There might be a few more houses, but the landscape and everything is pretty much the same how it was in 1971.
Exactly.
And go ahead, Gonzo. I didn't mean to cut you off, brother.
No, you're good. Like I said, I got a friend that's living right down the road, where Darren used to live, and she's one of my researchers, and she's telling me what's going on the backside at the aerial store, what the landscape looks like. She's driving around giving me the good inside scoop on what is going on over that way. I haven't been out there in about a year. It's been about 2 years since I've been out there, and I want to know what's still going on right now. I want to see what's trending, and it's super cool. Yeah, I mean, like you said, you don't know what you don't know until you go there, and you can read it in a book, you can see it on a screen, but it does it no justice. So it's great, man.
Agreed. Hey, Nicky, I want to put this up real quick from Packer Jack, because I don't want to miss this that he put out here. He put
Packer's always got good stuff, man.
Oh, he's got good stuff, and this is your wheelhouse
right there.
He's saying this is the stuff that we all like, all three of us. I know for sure. It says
absolutely.
Interesting that Finn legally sold those forgeries with John Connolly, and that Lyle Cameron, skydiving legend, was in the Cooper file about Lake Elsinore, that he was an asset of the CIA and Ruby. I mean, now you're talking. He's speaking my language right there.
Oh yeah, I don't know is there any direct connection between Conley and Lyle Cameron? But yeah,
it's worth looking at.
Big time.
We'll have to talk about that after this, Packer. I'd be interested to hear about that. But
that's great.
Yeah, like I've had this whole Elsinore report, absolutely covered. If you read the FBI files, we got over 20, close to 30,000 pages now or something like that.
Yeah.
And you see all these leads are all kind of, they're all pretty silly, like really nothing to them. We've seen ones where they're like, oh, I saw a guy on the Perry Mason episode, and a bunch of it's only just crackpots calling in. The FBI is pretty much, they were just hoping somebody was going to serve them up DB on a silver platter, right? Someone's going to give them up. Someone was going to give them up for us. One of these leads is going to pan out. Someone
easy work.
Yeah.
we'll give it to us here. Happening. That's why we're here. That's why we're here 50 years later. But reading every single lead and every detail in that lead given, the one that's the most intriguing, that closely matches the evidence, is Lyle Cameron's report of a guy in 1971 August. So August 71. So a few months before the skyjacking. He
surveilling the land. Yeah.
He strolls into Lake Elsinore drop zone, which is really
your backyard.
Right here. I'm in Elsinore right now, so it's just a couple miles right here from my house. And I've had the opportunity to talk to a lot of skydivers. And
is it still open, Nicky? Is it Jump Center still open, or is it years ago? It is.
No, it's still open. They're still jumping today. Cool. But back in 1971, it was one of the top. It was probably the top jump center in North America. And Lyle Cameron, being one of the pioneers of skydiving, he pretty much ran the show over there. And some guy in August 71 kind of goes through Elsinore, jumps in there. And no one else. I've been able to make a lot of relationships and talk to a lot of the old school skydivers, people that were jumping there around the time. And skydivers love to talk. So I found this kind of unusual that Lyle's the only one that really knows this story. And it didn't kind of get around the Elsinore skydiving circles, because believe me, if it did, that I would have heard stories from people. I've talked to the son of the airport owner that was there pretty much every day in the summer. He never heard anything about it. But Lyle describes this guy matching the description. He's wearing Cochrane boots.
The boots.
Cochrane's, yeah.
Cochrane boots, which he thought it was a little bit unusual, because I think he said they were military style. I think they called them Frenchies, and then regular skydivers were wearing a different kind of boot. So already he knew, and he said this guy was like an older. I talked to his son, who heard the story from another one of his close friends, but he said they described him as he says it in the files, older guy. Like he wouldn't. When you see a guy that's older in the skydiving,
because they were all young guys, like 18, early 20s, late teens, right?
And Lyle was like 42, I think, at the time already. So for him, he was like the old guy
and this guy's like his age.
So for him to call somebody else older, it's like, okay,
you recognize
weird,
right? Somehow he didn't ask anybody else questions. He just knew right to go to Lyle, which is he's the guy you wanted to talk to. Because besides, I think there was the guy that owned that drop zone in Washington that got raided, I think, some years ago. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, that guy. So besides him, I think either him or Lyle were right up there with the most free fall jumps up until that point in 1971. So
and those Frenchies, man, those Frenchies told it all, man. That. Being an older guy, I mean, he was right on the radar.
Right. Exactly. And he was asking how to jump a 727.
Inquiring
how to jump out of jets. And, they're getting into some specifics that are consistent with the Cooper jump there.
Yep.
The guy had a pack of Riley coupons.
Whoa.
Riley coupons.
Was that in the FBI file with the coupons, or I can't?
The coupons,
it said so that brand.
Yep, it said right. He said, so Lyle, he expands upon it. He's like, yeah, I didn't see him with the actual cigarettes, but I saw him with the coupons, and I made a joke.
And he remembered that brand, though. The coupon was for that brand.
Right, because he remembers it because he made a joke to him that you should have used the coupons to buy a PC, which is Para Commander, which the sports shoot that everybody what all the skydivers were jumping with at that time.
Hey, man, the real OG
sounds like D.B. Cooper all up and down.
Yeah.
Right. There's a couple other things I'm probably forgetting, but the details on there, I mean, there's no other lead you'll find with that kind of good detail in it that you're like, oh, shit, this sounds like it could be D.B. Cooper.
Yeah,
super interesting.
And you did such awesome work bringing that back up. And did Marty help you a little with that too, or did he get into that a little bit, Marty?
Oh, so Marty had his interest in Elsinore, I think probably before. I mean, Marty was on the case already before him, and he was already looking into Gunther and all of that. Yeah. So Gunther is mentioned in the book. So Gunther in the Gunther book, the guy that calls him up or whatever, he's he mentions that, to Clara about Lake Elsinore and all of this. So
True.
then when the file came out and Marty saw that, he got excited. He thought it was a connection to the Gunther book, which it still could be. But then when that file came out, then I started doing my own research. While I'm like, who made this report? And then kind of through being on the Old School Skydivers group and being here in Elsinore, I was able to find who made that report. And Lyle Cameron. So I know you guys were talking about JFK, and you brought up Ruby. So so Lyle Cameron was one of the last 2 phone calls that Ruby made. It's if you can look up.
That's stunning.
You can you can just Google Lyle Cameron Black Vault, and then it'll come up.
Yeah, there's a possible the Cooper tie to JFK.
The Cooper tie to JFK, right?
You could tie Cooper to anybody at this point. You know
how it is. Yeah,
it's awesome. Could. That's what's amazing about it. That's what's phenomenal. Right. It's great.
And what's Ruby doing calling Lyle? His last 2 calls in that kind of situation. He's not
of all people.
He's not calling Lyle to shoot the shit. They don't even run the same circles. I don't understand why he would be calling Lyle unless it was business related. If it was something part of the this is just speculation on my part, but Lyle was a top-notch pilot, so I don't know if there's any money being exchanged hands. But if money needed to be moved quickly, needed to be flown.
He's your guy.
That's your guy. Yep.
Well, and I know he did work he died mysteriously in Honduras. I think in '93 in the plane crash.
Don't they all?
Very unusual.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother mystery. Rabbit hole for another thing. But it's very unusual. If that was really DB Cooper, how does he know to go to Lyle? How does he know to go to Lyle Cameron? And what's the whole deal there?
Yeah, I mean you could get into the weeds on that one, and we could just go all day.
Oh, we'd have it all tiled in.
We could the deep state. We could have it all.
Connected. Gonzo, what do you have any theory on the Tina Bar find? Got there. I mean, do you like to soak it up, or do you lean any kind of which way? I kind of you probably know Eric's Eric's explanation, which I didn't really understand much till Bruce kind of talked about it. I know Nicky knows Eric's well, but do you kind of go towards any particular one on the money find?
I went back and forth on that. I'm actually really into the Tina Bar thing. I have my little theories. I believe boots had to hit the ground. I don't believe in the Washougal washdown theory. I don't believe in a lot of that. I'm still running with the flight zone being on point. I just always have. But the flight path, I mean. But man, I believe if this guy was as calculated and as beautiful, crazy-minded, badass as we think he is, this is just another slap in the face. This is, hey man, I'm going to put something here. It's coming back up. We know it's going to be found in my time, and you guys are going to be scratching your head even more. Now that's what's more DB Cooper than that.
Good. I like
another just come find me, boys.
Just messing with them, just making them go in circles.
I can agree with
Cooper's that guy.
The lackey cops. The
lackey cops. Yep. And the culprit. We want to see these guys. We want to believe in our heroes that are, that they're smarter than us, that they've got it. They've done their due diligence. They've dotted their I's. They've crossed their T's. These guys are supreme badasses. And I think Cooper checks all those boxes, and every one of the badass POIs out there, the real ones, I mean, the big ones that everybody knows, they've all got phenomenal stories. I mean, everybody learned about them on the Vortex. Every one of these guys are just a story in themselves. So it's
they're amazing. Man. That's why it's kind of good in a way that it wasn't solved earlier. We wouldn't have all these stories come together. We Gossett was a latecomer. Obviously Braden's pretty kind of a latecomer. So many of them. I mean, we knew some early on, but the more that it's not solved, you hear these awesome stories. like Barb and Kenny's got a great story. They all do.
They're phenomenal. I mean, these guys are great.
Got a great story.
Klansneck is the man. Braden, those two guys are right there, man. They're on the Mount Rushmore POIs for me. You guys really helped me just see that, and I've been seeing the light with that, speaking of badasses, your last episode with Bruce, I want to do a damn documentary on Billy Waugh. That guy was,
Yeah,
he was amazing,
he's
so it's like,
amazing.
if you're
Yeah,
hanging with
I
this
talked to
group,
a guy today that talked to Billy because I got him in touch with Billy, and
oh,
yeah, he talked to Billy for over half an hour. This guy's really he's a young guy, but he's like hardcore into Vietnam Special Forces, very
yeah,
respectful with military. So I was like, okay, one guy I'm gonna help out and get him in touch with Billy would be this guy, and he did. He talked to him today, just a few hours ago, and he's like, he said
whoa,
it was like the bucket list item of all time for him, and he's very respectful. But Billy's 92, and he this guy was really glad that he got to talk to Billy because I mean, he's starting to get, the age is starting to affect him, unfortunately, because Billy's
absolutely,
sharp when he gets going, but,
yeah.
92, almost 93, and everything that he's seen, he's starting
Father
to,
Time, he lived
yeah,
he had a
it's,
hard run, man.
yeah, real hard run.
Push a hard pace like that, and 92 looks a little different than most people, but man, that guy's amazing. I think he, like I said, in this Cooper vortex, in this Cooper community, man, you're going to run into badass after just mastermind after top flight, just super cool dudes that have skill sets out the wazoo. And man, that's what's so incredible. Everybody is chasing DB Cooper, Dan Cooper, man, and I'm one of them, man. I'm chasing
Yeah.
it.
So how did the
I'm
Finn
with
thing
you.
go again? Like, I know, the treasure was found.
Yep.
So did a lot of the people start coming in from different ways, or they believed that maybe Finn knew, if Finn wasn't Cooper, Finn knew Cooper, and then I saw people thought
Yeah.
maybe Finn's brother could have been Cooper.
Finn's brother is
or
interesting. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
talk about him a little bit.
Yeah, Finn's brother, he checked a lot of boxes for a super badass dude. I mean, this guy, he wore a 10-gallon hat. He knew his stuff. He would have been a hell of a wingman as well. I mean, yeah, the Finn thing, it got a little off the tracks after the find, and like I said, it hit litigation. It's still, the estate's still going to be in a little bit of turmoil for a while until this thing gets figured out.
Is
But
that who has ownership of the treasure?
Jack Stoof, the finder, and then basically things got really cloudy. And right now, like I said, they had a lawsuit going 2 weeks ago, and I think there's going to be more. There's a lot of hoops that they got to jump through. They still have to allocate all the worth of the treasure too. You got to send coins here. You got to send emeralds here. You got to send
Is
valuables.
it like roughly 2 or 3 million? I thought, or is it?
Yeah, they say between 2 and 5. I think Lisa Cesari, she would be able to dial you in on that. The chasers probably know that a little bit more than me. I'm still interested in some of the stuff that Forrest hid out in New Mexico. I'm still chasing a couple things right now. They just launched, and Nicky knows about this. There's a
Skippy thing,
hunt
yeah.
right now going, that ties into Cooper. So, I mean, that's going to be cool too. So you guys got to pay attention to that one.
Yeah,
Nick,
Packer
can
says
elaborate on that.
Yeah,
Packer says Skippy was an engineer for Boeing, which I didn't know that. And
Skippy
he'll show
was
that
a
on Treasure Warriors
beast.
tomorrow. Yeah,
Yeah.
Skippy. Yeah, I've looked into him. He's an interesting guy.
People thought Skippy was on the plane. They thought
That
he
would
was
be
the guy that
mind-blowing.
was. They thought he was the guy that was raising hell in seat whatever midway on the plane. So Skippy's a hell of a guy too to look into. I'm into that stuff, man. So I'm here for it.
So you think there could be a Cooper link, a real Cooper link with Finn or Skippy or ha ha ha?
Well, yeah. So I'm doing a little short film, and I'm tying Finn to Cooper. Not that I'm
now
saying,
it's coming out.
Yeah, I'm saying Finn was Cooper or whatever. I'm just saying Cooper knew Finn, and it's got some twists to it. So yeah, I'm bringing that to you.
It's a great. It's Reese's peanut butter cups. I think with the Chase and Cooper and ha ha ha. And I know
These
Bruce said
circles
he
run
talked to the guy that wrote it, and there's nothing there. But I've gotten emails from people that they saw some stuff on Braden and but they're like really into ha 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 and Finn, and they're like, man, no, like this isn't just crazy people. There's stuff here that you really just can't dismiss out of hand.
There's some hardcores out there that'll really make those connections, and if you look hard enough and you really want it, you can make that connection. So I mean, it's there. It's there if you want to see it, depending. But it's interesting. It's fun. and I'm all about that kind of stuff as well as being a neutral for Cooper.
Yeah,
So
just soaking it in. But you're doing your own treasure. You're still doing that. I mean, on top of making the Cooper film.
yeah, I'm doing. I just hit a treasure out here in Wyoming. I gave everybody a 5-mile radius of where it is. It's in really treacherous canyon. It's called Fremont Canyon, and I
Fremont.
wrote a poem. I'm not a poet, but I wrote a poem and I posted it. And I've got people running around all over the state, and some people from
That's
out of state,
awesome.
climbers, hikers, enthusiasts that are out here digging around for this treasure.
And you had a lot of cool stuff in it too. I saw.
Yeah, I put
That
a
you
lot of
picked
really
up
cool
from your
stuff in
travels.
there. Yeah, a lot of stuff from all over the road. Cool baseball cards, some really cool coins. I got a JFK coin in there. I got
Oh
when I
wow.
was down doing my Dealey Plaza investigations. I got some stuff in there. I don't know what the worth is, but it's super cool stuff.
That's dope, dude.
That's
Thanks,
awesome.
man.
And the article that you were just in, I have a link to it that talks about your treasure hunt.
Yeah, man, it was cool. They did a great job. I got to go on a radio interview probably tomorrow to talk about it a
Oh
little bit
wow.
more. So there's a few treasure hunts out there, and Lisa will let you know. There's
Yeah,
a big one in
she
Utah,
will.
and yeah, man, X marks the spot. Ben Knappel and those boys, they're all doing some major stuff. So Rudy Green, Cal Lazars, everybody, man, and that's Nicky runs in those groups too. So it's
Yeah, he covers all that too. I don't know how he can do it all. Like
I
you,
don't know,
I don't
dude.
know. I don't know how either of you guys do it all.
No, I wouldn't say I cover it but I have kind of gotten interested in the Fen post chase kind of thing. The community is very entertaining. Ben, I love Ben's show.
Yes.
It kind of just got me sucked in that little rabbit hole. So when I need to take a little break from Cooper, I'm usually like on the Treasure Warriors or like on the Discord
you're the
or
bridge. You're the bridge
You are.
between
You're the
the
glue
chase.
again.
Yeah,
You're
and so
holding
is
this stuff
Lisa.
together.
Lisa comes from there, and she's not doing
Lisa.
both.
Yeah, there's been a big crossover. Shout out to Ben and Alan
definitely.
Kelly and Packer Jack.
Yes.
They have made some great connections with the Ha 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 book, to possibly Forrest Fenn being the author. I'm not going anywhere into DB Cooper, in being DB Cooper or anything like that, but it's possible maybe they knew, they could have ran in the same circles, they could have had some connection. I'm not wanting to discount that without any evidence one way or another. So I'm cool, kind of keeping that whole thing in play.
Yes. Good call. Good point.
Yeah, they've made some interesting connections with the Ha 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 book, and it's a whole mystery who actually wrote that book. It's a complete.
Bruce says he met him, right?
Bruce was on your show last time, and he was convinced, and he was convinced he talked to who I think is Rod Addix, which is the convicted murderer who wrote this in jail, right? So
Bruce met him.
This story gets crazy.
I don't remember when he said that.
Bruce got put in touch with him, and he called him, and
I don't think it was face to face, but it was
on the phone.
Right, he called him, right, and the guy lived in Cedro Woolley, and from the research, everything pretty much checks out that this is likely Rod Addix. You told him how about he just had some downtime or whatever, and was in the library and
the library.
I mean, I don't know if that backstory is true or not, but Bruce is a New Yorker. He has a pretty good bullshit detector, I feel.
Yeah.
So if that person got by Bruce, and man, then
more power to him, man.
More power to him. But again, it's we got a publisher, we got an author, and then there's all kinds of, like, I don't want to go into that whole drama. Like Ben and those guys they can give you all the deets on that, but it's a whole mess. It's not like you can confidently say that this guy Rod
Addix, him. Yeah,
it was him, because so the whole operation just seems so shady behind the book. So there could be something.
Didn't somebody for sure find? I don't remember if it was Bruce or where I read it, but somebody definitely found the guy that did the artwork or something. That was pretty definitive.
Supposedly, yeah, but then that's all. that's
Hearsay.
all. Again, that's all kind of just,
none of it's
this
100%.
guy, this guy. Nothing can be really verified by anything with.
Don't
this
you
book.
love that though? Don't you?
Oh, it's
love
great.
that?
That's what makes it so cool.
That's what makes it a cool little mystery, because nothing really is verified. We
so-
don't know for sure. We don't have like FBI 302s. Like,
It's
for
a
sure
great,
we know,
it's a great cross pollination between cases and keeping people moving. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So like for years, like we thought, like I got in the case in like 2016, and I always thought like the book was like bullshit. I've never, I just, just from kind of what I heard or like whatever. And then I was in 2019. I was at the Oriole store, and Brian had a stack of the Ha 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 books, right? But
right.
at that time, the Fanatics.
Who brought the books to the Ariel store?
So I guess, and this seems kind of on par, because the Judy Van Cleve, I think, or I get the two gals' names mixed up. But whoever was one of the two gals involved in the book, even till today or recently, like with Ben and some of these other people that have been inquiring, they're like, "Oh yeah, buy our books in bulk." They're trying to sell like a bulk deal. They still got books, and it's the whole thing's still weird. But they struck some kind of deal with Donna, right? And they're like, "Okay,
yeah, $10 a book, we'll split it with you."
Yeah, right. And it kind of makes sense. Like, look, this is the DB Cooper store. We can put them here. People will see the book, and then they can just, kind of like on consignment. Let's throw my thing here on consignment. That's actually smart. I would have done the same thing, honestly. So that's probably the deal they struck from right here from Bruce.
I need one of those, Nicky. You got to get me one.
Yeah, GonZo really needs one. So how many did you have at one point, Nicky?
GonZo. So I was able to get a couple. So the new owners, GonZo knows about the new owners as well. So the new owners of the Oriole store, they had still a bunch of the books there when they took it over. She told me they still she has the books. They're still in storage. She recently has a newborn baby, and I haven't been wanting to bother her.
They're busy.
This is recent. You're talking about.
Yeah. So the new owner.
So how many do you think she might have? I mean, do they indicate like 10, 5?
She says, so I think I would say at least probably at least 15 copies, up to maybe 40, 50 copies, somewhere in there. I'm going to still guess from what I saw was there in 2019, and it was the store was already closed then.
But so you remember seeing that many Ha Ha books on like in the corner?
Yep. Yeah,
oh my God!
Until this live drops, Drew. Now they're gone.
and also,
I hope I didn't screw GonZo out of a book.
No.
He's got to get one.
I'm getting
Lisa wants one too.
GonZo,
Lisa, I know Lisa, you want one.
Yeah, so I got some people on my list, GonZo. You're at the top for sure, brother.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
But when I got there, 2019, Brian Ingrams has this whole a whole other crazy story tied in with the Ha Ha Ha. He also thinks Ha Ha.
What is it?
Oh, someone else did a YouTube video. I'll send you the link. It's been posted up before, and this poor innocent gal that's just trying to like show some DB Cooper sites. Like, she goes to Tina Bar, and she's like, she couldn't get access. She's like across the river showing it, and then Brian lets her in because like Brian's cool. Like the store's been closed, but if you come by and you're like, oh, I'm in a DB Cooper, like what he did with for me and Darren, he'll open the doors, he'll let you in, he'll let you check out all the memorabilia, all the stuff, and then he'll start telling his theory and his story. And it was all tied in the Ha Ha Ha, and he thought it was the author and some people that sent in letters to the store, and it just sounded like really just kind of really out there. It was hard to make any heads or tails. So again, kind of experiencing that with Brian and him throwing in this really far-fetched story that I couldn't make heads or tails out with the Ha Ha Ha. I just thought the whole Ha 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 thing was just complete, just a complete, art of fiction, and they just incorporated DB Cooper. But the Fanatics have found some things, and there is definitely some shady stuff going on with the publishing and who actually wrote it and all of that stuff.
That makes it fascinating, right there.
It does.
Though. I mean,
it does. So that's why these guys have like gravitated towards it, because there is something there.
It's a cult presence, and it's a cult presence. Is that book is powerful, man, and people need it.
It's got to be.
It's got its little following itself.
I'm the first to admit I was sleeping on it until the Fanatics found the interesting things about it and kind of brought it to life. So,
man, I found so many good authors, going through the vortex, with all of Darren's pods. Man, I found Drew. I found, everybody that wrote something, Jeffrey Gray, and some of these names I knew, but man, like some of the stories, and then I did some digging on everybody, and it's like just like new badass stories every day. It's super interesting. And yeah, now I've, reaching out to a couple different authors, and man, picking some brains. This is interesting stuff, man.
Yeah, it's all about getting together. I mean, and
this is a
what do you
crowdsource.
have? Hey, what do you have? And what
That's
do
it.
you? Oh, I found
Well,
this, and we could.
that's the name of the game, man. No one's
the crowdsourcing with people that are like us,
Yep.
right.
and doing it. Nicky grinding all day. Gonzo's out there, on site doing all these, and he has time to do Cooper with all this other stuff, which is so awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, it's mind blowing.
Yeah, man.
Thanks,
And that's
Drew.
all. That's all. Thanks, Drew, for the accolades. And that's all I'm really trying to do, man. Is just create a strong network here of people with different sets of skills and different things they can bring to the case, different perspectives and everything like that, man. I feel if we can get enough people like that to work together, like GonZo, like me, like you, we stand a better chance, man. Because
that's true.
There's not one man that's going to be able to solve this by themselves. It's just impossible.
It's a group effort here, yeah. And this is aligning with great guys. We're just aligning with really hardcore enthusiasts that have been putting in the groundwork, and this is amazing, man. I'm just, like I said, I'm just stoked to be here. So,
yeah, I think that's just kind of the name.
I mean, definitely welcome to the Cooper family, Gonzo. I mean,
thank you.
It's a lot of fun. I mean, and then we like figuring out all the stuff you're working on, but
heck yeah.
I mean, who knows? I mean, so many people. I mean, like we were talking about earlier. Like, I mean, the documentary to me was a letdown. I mean, it was. I mean, Rexstrau's already had his Fun in the Sun, but I was stunned by just having that come out. That it brought up this huge interest in everything Cooper. I mean, were you surprised, Nicky?
That's it.
I know that Gonzo and I were like, just from that. I mean, it had to be that because that started again when the documentary came out. That it's like Cooper stuff's blowing up.
It is
100%, man. You get a lot of laymen that are just watching. They come in, they have their theories. DB Cooper wasn't a real person. He didn't jump out of the plane, and all these kind of stuff. But then because all the exposure we get some sharp people here that caught interest of the case, and they're actually doing good work, or they might have an actual relationship with someone that I might actually be able to bring some knowledge, or they're doing something like very relevant. I know just to kind of speaking on just to give one example, this gal Ty Smith, I believe is her name. She's out in Oregon. And she just wrote this book. I'll send you the link, Drew. I don't think I mentioned it to you yet. It's about the Bureau of Mines out in Albany, Oregon, and all the work they did in metallurgy, and all the kind of mystery and all that stuff that was kind of involved with that. Really great book. She just emailed Tom K, I think, the other day, and he forwarded it to me. And there's a lot of links to the type particles with the Bureau of Mines. I mean, they've been on my list.
In Oregon. Nothing to do with like Ohio River Valley. I mean, this is
not Ohio
like
River
all
Valley.
the metals could have been from Oregon.
So because the Bureau of Mines the Bureau of Mines were doing that same type of work. So you pretty much you had the Ohio River Valley. You had your guys out there. You had REM crew. You had RMI. You had
that's huge. I mean, is this what Tom's been working on?
Oh no! Well, Tom just got an email. Tom just got an email from her yesterday, and then so she
brand
said,
new.
Yeah, she said she was at. So it was kind of cool. She was like, here, she was at a book signing. So she already, I think her book's already been out like a year or kind of around there. But she was at a book signing. She's like, hey, I just saw this Netflix Cooper documentary, and the particles that I heard they were talking about sounds a lot like Albany.
Yeah.
That's
how it works.
Yeah, you get just bigger and bigger, and somebody's like, "Oh, never thought about Cooper or the metals or."
Exactly.
So that's why I thought it was good that
fresh eyes.
That they picked Eric's story about Rim Crew too.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like, hopefully, there's enough people that can sit through the Rexstraw kind of thing, or hopefully it sucks and it's interesting enough for some people to kind of get sucked down that rabbit hole that they keep paying attention to the actual good stuff that's in the documentary, right?
Absolutely.
Like the tie particles, the Dan Cooper connection,
Yes.
military experience, stuff like that, where it might ring a bell or like it get someone curious. Aside from just that Rackstraw stuff, was just like Eric said, it's like the vehicle to kind of get you kind of get you to some of the actual good nuggets there, but they need you need a bus to drive, right? So that was the thing, that was who they hitched their wagon on. But
hey, that if it brings new fresh eyes and new perspectives, I'm all for it.
More than welcome. Welcome to the vortex.
Exactly. You get on the Facebook DB Cooper mystery group, we get new people. That thing's blown up. I mean, Eric's done great. Nicky's like a mod on that page, and it's like, holy cow.
I mean, he's always put up something, new things, and
from fun stuff.
He knows what Nicky's finding new things every day.
Yeah, it gets you thinking, whether it's a fun story that doesn't really pertain, that kind of ties in, to like hardcore new stuff, developments, what's going on with the metallurgy field, the rim crew, crucible steel. I like Nicky just said, this, the tie is everything right now. The tie is all the rage, and then the hair particle, where that went, we all have our theories about that. Well, so that the cigarette butts, we could go crazy on that stuff, but I think everybody's kind of focusing on the tie right now, and for good reason. And man, I think a lot of new doors, and I'm seeing it firsthand, following what Nicky's digging into, and Eric and those guys, man, the tie is the tie into
the tie's
a new thing.
Yeah, it's the flavor. Hey, Packer Jack is asking me, but I want to ask. I'll start off. I want to ask you two guys, starting with Gonzo, because when I had Bruce on, he Packer's saying how he made a really good case for the fact that 305 was done just so the airline industry could tighten security. Do you think there's anything to that, Gonzo? Bruce makes a good case for it.
Well, you look at the golden age of hijacking. Everybody was going to Cuba, and people were trying to get out. And a couple guys were saying, hey, let's make this happen. Yeah, there's definitely a possibility that they were trying to tighten it up. They needed a guy that had a badass skill set to get in there and raise a little hell. And yeah, right. So
but yeah,
there we go. They needed one, and that can tie into a lot of things. You can go down that rabbit hole, but yeah, I think they needed a guy that could do that, to get that on the map, to tighten it up. They were on a slippery slope for a long time, so this did make changes. Cooper made changes,
and it would explain the lost cigarette butts without having to get too conspiracy minded. Other than that, they staged it, which is crazy.
That makes you go down to CIA.
Would do it.
Yeah, right. That makes you look into one of these high level, high skilled guys like your Braden, kind of like your Klansnicks. These high level, top flight dudes that had real training, and I'm talking real training. You got to go CIA. You got to look at all of that stuff. And oh man, I've looked into it, and I believe that there's something there. They did tighten up. Cooper did make positive changes for the airlines, and
it did tighten up. Yeah, things changed radically after a year. McCoy still got in and pulled one off, even though barely. Made a lot of.
He
mistakes,
was in that grace period. They hadn't had a lot of stuff written out yet. So yeah.
What about you, Nicky? Did you ever think there was anything there?
Absolutely, and after Bruce, that I agree with Packer that Bruce made a really good case.
He did. He had me thinking about it like pretty heavily.
Yeah, after that. Because people want to throw out there, oh well, there was all these other skyjackers and everything like that. But I mean, who gets the credit for changing airline security? It's not Richard McCoy. It's not It's not any of these guys, right? And so. Cooper pretty much he lit the fire to the match, because he got all these other copycats to start doing hijackings for actually financial gain, right? And then they made things more dangerous, because the guys who just wanted to go to Cuba, they weren't really criminals, right? So DB Cooper opened the door for the criminals to come in. Right before it was just activists and those type of guys. Those guys were just more protesting, trying to make a statement or what have you. But then once Cooper, brought in the money aspect, Then you got
Change the game.
You guys got things getting more dangerous, right? And like you already pointed out, they were already kind of prepared for this. A little bit unusual there. How they were just able to kind of implement things already so quickly. And
It
then
was already written up.
like Bruce said, it was already in place. Like it already had to be in place, and they knew they were going to do it. And then it ramped up so quick because they already had the infrastructure hiding behind the curtain.
Exactly. And then if you want to try to rationalize why DB Cooper would have done this skyjacking, not for money, right? Because not one bill ever turned up in circulation. Cooper already
that might help explain the Tina bar. I mean, just to make you think Cooper was dead.
If you needed if you needed the money, if you were desperate, it would. First of all, if you needed the money right away, I think it already would have entered circulation pretty quickly. So it's like, you can kind of massage this to kind of work with whatever theory, but I can't subscribe to that. Either you needed the money and you needed it then and there. And, like Ronnie said, most likely Cooper got down with the dough. So if he needed the money, he was in that situation, then he's spending it. The money's getting out there. It would have been back in circulation.
True.
Yeah.
Right? True.
So if none of that ended up, no bill ever ended up popping up. So you're trying to figure out, like, why would someone do this for if they don't need the money, right? No one can really wrap their head around that. That's why they just go to what's the most obvious MO, right? But if it was a false flag operation, well, then that kind of makes sense, right? And the way Cooper did it makes sense. It does
answer a lot of questions. Hey, Packer, you have total permission to play Bruce's clip, by the way, on the show tomorrow night, because it was great. Because when Bruce said all that, he had me thinking hard about it. He really did. I'm like, I mean, I thought about it before, and I think Nicky and you and I have talked about it. I'm like, it's believable. It answers a lot of questions. Maybe why Tina Bar. Why it's the only unsolved American skyjacking ever. It answers all that because they can't let you know what they did.
It makes you got to polish up your POI as well. If you're championing anybody, it makes you really have to look at the level of professionalism that guy had to use.
Absolutely right.
I mean, DB was an ultimate professional, so
calm.
He had training. He had the means. I always say, my buddy Perry Freeman, an author that worked on the Joe Monet Ramsey case, he's probably in here tonight. He's Cop Facts. He's amazing. He's like my mentor in this game. He always says motive, opportunity, and means. So I always take that into consideration when I'm looking at a POI. And this guy had top flight skills, and that's all we know about it. We don't know anything before or after.
If this was someone kind of the run-of-the-mill criminal the FBI always catches, he would have just been the other guy the FBI always catches, just like every other skyjacker.
Yeah, it would explain it like a McCoy.
You just want to think he's the luckiest guy in the world. Sorry to cut you off, Drew, but yeah.
It reminds me of of McCoy. McCoy was a badass helicopter pilot. I mean, he had one action in Vietnam where he came in with his helicopter, shot up a little village, saved a lot of people. I mean, that's big balls guy. I mean, McCoy was a great helicopter pilot, very brave. Yet he does his skyjacking. The guy's a nervous wreck. Every account of that flight, it was a disaster. Right. That's makeup coming off his face, leaves the hijack instructions in the waiting area that had to be brought onto him, and that's a fact. I know some of the McCoy believers hate when I bring that up, but it's true. Left a clear fingerprint on the glass. He hitchhiked. He gets to the ground and he hitchhikes.
Yes.
I mean, the guy that he got a ride from him remembered him easily and identified him. Yeah, I gave this guy a ride. And he bought a hamburger with the money. Cooper would have never done that, by the way.
Right. That's the type of intellect people think DB Cooper had. And I'm just if he had that, he would have been freaking caught, just like Richard Floyd McCoy.
We wouldn't have easily caught
with all the money except for the hamburger and milkshake. Yeah.
Exactly. And it doesn't matter about the training. Like you just pointed out with McCoy, Drew, it doesn't matter about the training. It's about the intellect.
Yep.
And people don't think Cooper had that intellect, because if he had the intellect, he wouldn't have done this thing to begin with. That's where people think if he was this smart, he wouldn't even try this because they can't get over the fact that, oh, he jumped into the wilderness in a stormy night. He didn't specify the type of equipment he wanted. He didn't bring his, they're all caught up into their how they think a smart person would do it. Well,
hindsight's 2020.
Exactly. You don't really know how DB Cooper would have actually done it. He could have been actually still very intelligent, and you're just interpreting the things he did as from how you wouldn't have, from your perspective.
Exactly, like the parachute choice.
Yep. Like the parachute choice. It's like, hey, he wanted front and back shoots. That's it. He knew he was going to get good working shoots. And you talk to Mark M. He's done a great job.
I mean, he's done a great. I mean, nobody better than the Mark.
Go ahead, GonZo.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think just every technical aspect that Cooper buttoned up tight and kept tight should give you more to go on, that this dude knew his stuff. He was planned, calculated, and cold, and he pulled it with, supreme execution. And you got to rule out the modern everyday criminal. It's just not happening. I mean, you can think that way, but woulda, coulda, shoulda, but you don't know. You weren't there.
Exactly.
He was.
Yeah, he would have had to win the lottery twice, right? So first,
exactly. Yeah.
So first pulling it off, and then not being caught.
Yep.
How many people How many people win the lottery twice?
Exactly. Like McCoy, he didn't get to the ground, but everything he did when he hit the ground was a disaster. Right. And a lot of disasters on the plane. It was like, in spite of himself, he made it to the ground. Then everything he did was wrong.
Yeah,
right.
He unraveled.
Every other skyjacker besides DB Cooper was a criminal. They had a criminal mind. They had a criminal past. They had a criminal future.
Yep.
Criminals. They always get caught. We got
one knight in shining armor, one shapeshifter, and one soul searcher, and that's Dan Cooper.
Dan Cooper. Well said.
That's why we're here. So
yeah,
that's why we're here. He's different. He's not.
He's
there's
different.
levels to this.
He's the unsolved one.
There's levels to this.
You have to
game,
look for
baby.
someone you need doesn't fit your FBI profile.
What do you think about the comic book connection, GonZo?
Oh man, I totally buy it. I mean,
you do?
Yeah, I mean, I do. I think that if he was overseas, he was in the war, he was doing anything Canadian, Royal Canadian, whatever. I think he probably had the exposure. A lot of guys back then read comic books. That was a everyday read for a lot of those guys. I think it ties in. I want to believe it. I think it's just cool enough that I want to believe it. I don't think it was a coincidence that he gave the name Dan Cooper. I just do not. Maybe his uncle told him about Dan Cooper comic book. I don't know, but I want to believe it. I do want to believe that one.
Yeah, it's cool. I know Darren's a big believer. Nicky, Nicky, are you still split on it, or you always kind of leaned on it, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm a believer in the comic. I don't think that name just happened to land on the same type of dude that's doing the same type of thing. Just like the odds of that. He could have. You know how many infinite names you have options you have out there.
That's true. Dan Cooper's common, but it's really not that common, though.
Right.
And when you think about it, it's not.
Yeah, he could have said Daniel as well. Why not Daniel Cooper?
Yep.
Why not Daniel?
I just want to believe it.
And why?
Yeah, it is cool to believe.
Why did he say it in such a he said it
Dan Cooper.
Dan Cooper. If you look at Dennis Lindsley's 302, he says the guy said Cooper last name first, then last name again, then first name. So just like how James Bond says it in the films.
Yeah,
exactly.
So it's kind of the James Bond tie-in with the tie and everything.
Don't you want to cross-pollinate your heroes a little bit? He's probably got Bond over here, Cooper comic book over here. He's like I'm my own guy.
Every man.
Exactly. If you're a James Bond fan, well, you're probably interested in other kind of similar type characters, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So James Bond's not like the only, like, if you're already a James Bond fan, it's not like you're going to be I think you're not only going to be just a James Bond fan. You probably have interested in some of these larger than life type of characters.
For sure.
And it makes sense if someone was a Bond fan, if they were more eclectic, and were a curious person, maybe in the aerospace, into the engineering aspects of the comic, because it wasn't really a kids comic. Yeah, they were, because it was a comic, kids were sort of interested in it, but adults were very interested in it as well, just because of the engineering aspect. Because
it was technical, yes.
It was very
absolutely.
technical. Like the blueprints were like pretty much like the blueprints of the actual aircraft, like in the comic strips, because Weinberg he'd get access to these airplanes. They pretty much, that's another cool thing they actually touched on in the Netflix doc, which is actually very accurate, that Weinberg, they rolled out the red carpet for him at all these places that had DOD air, Department of Defense, top secret.
I was stoked that
all that shit going on.
I was stoked that they did that for him. I think Weinberg got some good shine there. I mean, they did. They changed the game for him. He got a lot of good intel, and he put out a good product. I mean, I haven't read them all. I mean, I've looked at a few. I have one, but yeah, they're technical, man.
Yeah, so it's not just, an av geek would have been an older aviation geek. I don't care if you were 30, 40, 50, 60.
Would have been into that.
You would have been into it just because of the aviation aspect of it,
True.
And then if you liked cool characters and stories, and if you're a Bond guy and you also liked aviation, then Dan Cooper's kind of your dude.
It's true. He's all our dudes.
I mean, it's a great piece. I mean, the documentary went deep into the comic book. I mean, that's one of the things it got right.
That was cool. Yeah. They got a guy from the French Canadian, and that was pretty dope.
Yep.
Yeah. That was needed. Like, I'd do 4 hours of all that, just like deep in the weeds on stuff like the comic book, or I could do 4 hours on the Tina bar.
Me too.
Yeah, you want to touch back on Tina real quick? I do agree. I do agree with GonZo that it was, it was Cooper kind of playing a little possum.
I like that. I agree with Gonzo too. I like playing the possum with it. I mean, I've heard everything from the government could have printed even identical bills, or had already had identical bills with identical serial numbers.
The theories are out there, and they require a lot of explaining, right? The money. My theory is simple, right? One summer, during the diatom period, right? So May or June, he goes by Tina Bar. I'm speculating it was probably the year before because of the rubber bands, right? So I think
I never could understand that.
Right. Yeah. So this is my theory, and I'm going to throw it out there because everyone's throwing out the natural arrival, which requires the money staying in the bag, nicely packed by the side of the Columbia, until that first spring flood comes around 7 months later, and no one notices it, and then it's able to hitch a ride, and the whole money bag makes it there, and disperses on, and then throws out some packets, and then the rest go out to sea, or like what have you. This thing takes a lot of different variables. It seems like the odds are just low on that, given the rubber bands and the other thing. So
I'm with you.
My theory is the money was stashed somewhere else right after the skyjacking. Okay, it stayed there
and protected somehow, like from the elements
for somewhere. But I think the rubber bands were already by that time. The rubber bands were already gone. Right.
Oh.
So I think to keep. I think the band. I think it was rebanded. So I think it was taken out of its spot, out of its honey hole the year before. Right. So we're talking summer of 79. So taken out of its honey hole, rubber bands are gone, rebanded, right, with newer bands. Summer of 79.
I've never heard that. I like that theory.
I like it.
Because I've never could understand that. I mean, because we all seen rubber bands that are just in your garage that are a year old. They just brittle to the touch.
Right. So we got rubber bands. We were doing a rubber band study right now. So Tom K, he actually figured out the company that
made them. Yeah.
That made the rubber bands. They made the rubber bands for all the banks. So Tom K sent us some. We got them. We got rubber bands in a different on a bunch of different planks in a bunch of different situations. One in an actual canvas bag of the same canvas bag that was used. We got one just outside in the elements. All in all in Vancouver, BC, which is the same type of climate as what would it
Weather correct.
I wouldn't say the weather correct type of climate to what you see at Tina Bar. So we're still in the Pacific Northwest with it. So the tests are still ongoing. The one that's been out just snapped actually, I think like last week or a couple weeks ago. It only made it like, I don't know, maybe like 4 months or something like that. So I think money was taken from its honey hole in the summer of '79. So this was when Leonard Nimoy in that documentary. This is actually right before
I can't watch that enough. I keep always going back and picking up new things, even though it's like 20 minutes on YouTube. Right. I keep picking up something new.
Right.
Like,
so that
Nimoy, like Kossi having Mickey Mouse on his helmet. I always pick up something new.
That's cool. Well, yeah.
You know what? You know what's crazy? That Mickey Mouse on his helmet, right? I was probably the first Cooperite to figure out Mouse's actually his real nickname. I guess some people called him Koss or Kossi or whatever.
Yeah, I've heard Koss.
Yeah, I actually was like, this was news to Bruce, and I was like, oh man, because some of the skydiving people were like, they called him Mouse. I'm like, Mouse. I'm like, why are they calling him Mouse? So Mouse Kossi was his somehow so this guy had a fascination with Mickey Mouse.
Wow. See, I didn't know that.
He kept a Mickey Mouse on his aircraft.
Whoa.
On his airplane, like little Mickey
like a
Mouse.
Stuffed one or a
no, just like a little doll that he would hang down, like I don't,
like a plastic.
Yeah. So somehow, I guess he liked Mickey Mouse, and then so he got the name from the skydiving community as Mouse Kossi. So that makes sense. I actually never caught the Mickey Mouse on his helmet, but that aligns with why with people saying that he was like a Mickey Mouse fanatic.
Wow. Yeah. I loved it. I love that. I keep watching that one over and over because it was closer to the time that it happened. Like we talk about GonZo going to these sites, right? Right after the event happens, like Gabby Petito, but within search of that's like, 7. That was before the money find. I mean, I think they filmed that in 78 and then it came out in 79. So at least you're not that far removed from the skyjacking.
Yeah. Yeah. You get some real time.
Yep. And then the Tina Bar money ends up being found there in 80.
Yep.
So if DB Cooper, they did a lot of sleuthing for the Nimoy because they gave us some facts that we've never heard before.
The wedding,
the wedding at La Center, right? Everybody, La Center was like close to the middle of the drop zone, and everybody in the town of La Center was at the church.
Every single person was at the church.
That place would have been a ghost town. Yep, because of the local school teacher. Well, that's actually very accurate because I found that local school teacher's obituary, and it all matches up with that's the guy who had the wedding there. His wedding was in 71. I'm like, okay, they did some homework here, right?
Yeah, and the plane that was flying over.
The plane that was flying over that met up rendezvousing in La Center in the back of that lady's backyard.
The lights, the flare.
And then the lights of the Merwin Dam, the lights of the Merwin Dam uncharacteristically being all lit up that night. Yep. All lit up. Fully lit.
Yeah, that's a great point.
That's a hell of a spot to pick. You're going to know where you are now.
If he gets through the cloud, wasn't there like a cloud bank that he had to get through?
He would have known. It wasn't complete cloud cover. It was it was scattered clouds.
Spotty.
Yep.
Right. If the lights of the Merwin, I mean, I'd love to fly in a private plane over that in that type of weather to see if you could see actually the lights of Merwin if they're all lit up.
Absolutely.
But I think he could have caught a glimpse, especially if he knew Victor 23, especially if he had a little bit of time, if he flew the flight path and he had it timed pretty much. He knew where he'd be expecting to see it. Those kind of things that Nimoy was digging into, they were doing investigative work. And my speculation is maybe Cooper caught wind of this somehow, and that kind of spooked him. And now Nimoy is
That's a great theory.
Yeah,
and now this is taking away from the theory that FBI is already kind of wanting to roll with that no pull or whatever. So and then that's kind of taken away. So what's the best thing to do to try to help the FBI kind of cement their theory here? They already laid the groundwork. Cooper's just like, yeah, let me dunk some money in the water, make it look like I just landed in the drink, and some of the money washed up.
Perfect.
Because that was just
Perfect.
going
Yeah,
to
like
create more
Gonzo said, it's just a
confusion.
calling card to like rub it in the face of the lackey cops. Like some people, think I just did it to prove I could do it. Wasn't even
Right.
about the money.
Yep. So I'm going with simplest way possible. It explains the you don't have to come up with all these kind of
Intricate.
low probability things that happen, right? Money stashed, and then pulls them up 79. Rubber bands are probably gone. Maybe he wants to make them keep them together or whatever. I don't know why he rebands them really. But he puts, I think, because the rubber bands were still broken to the touch. It's about it. It would have been from 79 in the summer to when Brian Ingram found him in February. If he put him, at that, didn't really bury him deep, just kind of put it just right under the sand there. I think that would have been the rubber bands would have been consistent with a money just kind of put right under the sand there in
On
78.
top, three bundles on top of each other, right?
Just put them there. The rubber bands would have been consistent, I think, if you would have put them there, and then it was found when Brian found them in February, which would have been like 7 months. I don't know how many exact months later, but that kind of lines up with the degradation of the of the bundles, of the rubber bands on the bundles. And talking to Tom, he feels that the money got wet first and then buried, so it fits. So buried first. I know Eric is big on his theory that he landed by there and he buried the money. The fact that Tom found diatoms on it, but he didn't find any other dirt or debris on the bills.
Yeah, the summertime diatoms.
Right. That tells me the money was dropped in the water, didn't hit any sand or anything like that. Dropped in the water, taken out, dunked for a little bit to make it look like it just washed up, taken out, and put there. And that's consistent with Tom K's data. That's the most consistent with Tom K's data and requires the least kind of thing. Yes, you have to try to fathom, like, why would somebody do that? The logic it wouldn't make sense to a lot of people because you're doing this for money. Why you throwing money away? But again, that's where we go back. If it was a false flag explanation, right? There's some things that we got wrong here. There's some things we're misinterpreting, I believe, and that's why the profile is still wrong for the most part in general. What do you think, Gonzo?
No, I'm with you. I think that timeline, just with the diatoms, when Tom kind of figured out the timeline of what and when and how this the river did what its thing. Everybody had their dredging theories and all this and that. But yeah, I mean, I believe Tom's work is next level on what he's got going on there. And I believe if he dives back into the tie situation, it's over. I mean, they're going to figure it out. I mean, and I know it's trending that way. So yeah, man, I'm with you on all those things.
Yeah, but like Tom also says, every possibility needs a champion, right? So
that's true. Yeah.
So like the money natural rival is still possible because we got those two spring floods, right? The two time the waters got that high, it was during the time the diatoms were in the Columbia. So if it wasn't for those spring floods, you'd have no one. This theory would be completely dead and gone. But because we have those spring floods, that keeps that in play, and it's still a possibility. I have it low percentage, but I'm not, because I have a low percentage, I'm not really going to spend too much time in it. But people that do believe in it and are passionate about it, we need that person too looking into that thing, because like I said, we can't look into everything, and we're gonna go to where we feel our probabilities are most likely. But we need that, we need champions of all the possibilities. That way everything can be vetted, right? The more possibilities that can be vetted, the probably better off we are. So I think it's all good on that aspect. Like I said, I'm leaning towards human intervention based on Tom K's work and the data and everything. But doors not closed on Eric's theory. Doors not closed on the people that like the human, the natural way of getting there as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, Gonzo Packer wants to know about literally.
Yeah, he wants to. Yeah, he talked about it a little bit earlier, Packer. But go over it again, Gonzo, with your treasure hunt, because I wanted to make sure that because some other people joined late. But with your hunt, you already said they're already looking, right?
Yeah. I've got several, maybe 100 people or so, 50 to 100 people really interested and buzzed up in the Rocky Mountains here. I gave it an area. It's in a canyon, so I didn't say somewhere in the Rocky Mountains. I said,
Yeah, where you
it's
had
in
people
free.
like you didn't want people getting hurt. Like I know some people
Ex-
actually got killed looking for Finn's treasure, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, mine's in a 5 to 10 mile square radius. Pretty rad canyon. It's called Fremont Canyon. It's in between two lakes in the middle of Wyoming, like the middle of Wyoming. Really treacherous, badass rock climbing area. Really cool fishing spot. Um, there's a river that comes out of it called the Miracle Mile. You'll just see hundreds of fly fishermen on it. Um, yeah, so I got all jazzed up about Forrest Finn's treasure when I went out to West Yellowstone. Like I said, I was chasing for about 8 years. I didn't get into a lot of the forums and a lot of the banter, but I was out looking for forever, for almost a decade, for
So
Forrest's
how were you
treasure.
getting your clues then? I mean, where were most of Finn's clues?
Well, yeah, I mean they were in forums and stuff. I was watching, but I never really injected myself
Yeah,
into
you
the
just read
forums.
them and
Kind of like the drop zone. I read up and I see who's saying what and what's going, what's trending at the time. And then I did a lot of work into Forrest Finn himself and a lot of his interviews, just like Jack did. And, the book, the poems, you got to go through it 100 times. You got to carry it with you. So yeah, I got all jacked up about that. And I figured I'm going to do my own thing here. So I just figured when I came back from West Yellowstone into a solve spot, 9 Mile Hole, I figured, man, I'm gonna do my own thing on a smaller scale. Yeah, I don't have millions to put in. I don't have a bunch of gold, rubies, and cool coins. Actually, I got a lot of cool coins that I've got
yeah, that's
along
still
the
so
way.
cool.
Yeah, I
So is
got
there
like a
like a
whole.
timeline on yours, or is it like if no one finds it by X date, you're going to tell them where it is, or are you just give enough clues till somebody eventually finds it?
So I'm dropping a clue a month right now. This summer, I don't know. I think I might just pull the treasure come snowfly season. Probably around November. We get really treacherous storms out here. I might pull it. It's in broad daylight in the middle of this canyon. But you know, I don't think anybody's going to find it this year. I've given some clues. I wrote a poem. I'm not a poet, but I wrote a poem. It's out there. Lisa Cesari can send it to you, Packer Jack. And
Yeah, I'll put a link or I'll put it in the comments.
sweet, yeah. So I
Yeah,
got it
Lisa
in
sent it
some of
to
the
me.
forums. Yeah, and I mean it's cool. It tells you what's up, and it's a cool area. Very beautiful spot, near and dear to my heart. Just like Yellowstone was near and dear to Forrest's heart. I mean, he grew up out there fishing with his dad. He was on the Madison River. I mean, this is a spot where I rock climb technical walls, and it's a spot that I've been climbing for 20 years. And I see people all over the country saying, like, I don't know anything about that. Even people, locals in these communities, in these surrounding counties, do not know where this canyon is. And it's
I
like,
love stuff like that. Like
it's
yeah,
majestic. Yeah. So I want to bring people out, get them out moving around. And if they find it, that's cool. There's
yeah, you're
my
getting
note.
people outside. I mean, that's what's so cool. And like when you put pictures of you at all these beautiful places, and you're I mean, those things look like amazing photos of you, like jumping into these
Thanks.
deep bodies of water from way up high, and that like if that doesn't encourage somebody to get outdoors and do that, I don't know what will.
Yeah, it's just I'm out on the road and out on the ramble anyways, so I might as well look at the mysteries, try to help the missing, give a voice to the voiceless, and dig into these cases and just get inquisitive, meet cool people along the way. Yourself, Nicky. I'm gonna be running Darren down here as soon as I
Yeah,
can.
let me know when that happens. That'd be cool. Yeah,
I work right next to where he lives. I mean, I'm right in his town, in his backyard, bi-weekly. So
Yeah,
yeah,
man. You got to get on the Cooper Vortex, man. I've been bugging Darren
Yeah,
to get you
God, that's
on.
a great
Yeah,
idea.
yeah.
cool.
You guys could do it. You guys could record it live too.
Yeah,
I've been bugging Darren. Darren's got
get
a lot of
Gonzo on the
stuff going on
vortex,
with
man.
Darren.
It
Oh
sounds
yeah,
so good.
yeah. Hell yeah, dude.
Just Gonzo and Darren going at it with Russell's engineering, and
That'd be cool. Yeah, yeah.
that would
I'd
be
be stoked.
fantastic.
I got a lot. Yeah, I got a lot for him.
I'd be looking forward to that.
Yeah,
I've got good respect for all you guys, man. You guys are just out here doing the thing. And Drew, you've got thousands of hours into Braden. Nicky, you've got thousands of hours into
Into
Klansnick and these
everything.
other guys, into everybody. It's motivating and inspirational to me. So when I have time, I jump back in, and like I said, I'm diving into the vortex with everybody else, and I'm just here to see what shakes out. And if I can get to places, boots on the ground, I'm gonna go check them out.
So you're going to try to make it to CooperCon, right, Gonzo? I don't think Nicky, you wouldn't miss it. I know Nicky, we were keynote speaker, but Gonzo, you're going to definitely be there, right, and try to in your film.
Yeah, I got me one of the early tickets, I guess. I'm like 25, 21 on the board, so I'm stoked to be out there. I'm gonna have my short film.
You guys are there, it'd be like I'd like kill myself. I gotta be there. If you're there, Gonzo there.
Oh
Darren.
Yeah. We got a panel for authors, Drew. So
that'd be fantastic. That'd be so much fun. I couldn't even
the panel's open for you. You get there's no like vendor cost or anything like that. So Bruce and everybody else last year they came with their books. I think you saw a little bit on episode 4, kind of when they showed CooperCon.
Yeah.
Everyone just we had tables laid out, and you just you put your books up there, you put your guy you put your stuff out there, and then
just meet these characters to me are like celebrities, like Marla, and they're like celebrities from being in the vortex for so long. I mean, like these people are to me like they're awesome.
Yeah, dude. Exactly. And me and Ronnie are talking about, maybe get down there a little early to get a couple searches going. So
you two guys out there, who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah, when I first got in touch with Ronnie, the first thing that came to mind is like, because I'm always looking like how I can bring someone into my network and use their skills to help further the case. And right away, it was apparent with Ronnie. It's just like,
he's an outdoor guy, and he can find like those hard to find crevices and.
Right. Yeah. And me and last year we were kind of already doing a little bit of boots on the ground, like kind of helping Eric out.
Digging on the Tina bar. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Digging at Tina bar. So we already got a little taste of that. And we're like, man, but that was tough work. Cause it was like some.
Oh, I can't. Yeah. Digging. People don't realize that, holding the metal detector is real. Easy.
It was fucking crazy because the Fazios don't want any heavy equipment or anything like that. And this sediment they put down in there, I mean, we were going to work for
in it.
Eric, somebody got hurt, didn't they, at one point? I mean, not on the show or whatever. I don't know if it was Eric or somebody got kind of hurt one time. Going through some really thick stuff.
Eric got nicked up.
We were sore. We were sore from trying to plow through that stuff. I don't think anyone actually got hurt, but we definitely got sore. But yeah, it was definitely a little work, but that was kind of my first taste on boots on the ground. And then Doc Edwards came out with his book.
Oh man,
he has that whole theory about how Cooper jumped by the Columbia.
Yeah, I know you got that book right, Gonzo. Have you ever read much of it yet?
Yeah, that thing is super. Super. I mean, I've read into it. I read into it before I got it. And when I got it, I did not know how informative it was going to be. That thing is like spot on, like it's dialed in. That dude did some major like technical research, and I reached out to him, and he's a cool guy, man. I'm stoked for more of his work.
Doc Edwards is another grinder, man. If you read his Goodreads blog, that guy is like. FBI must be fucking must be pissed off with him or just annoyed with him because he's constantly sending FOIA requests. If you follow him on Twitter,
is he getting anything? Is he getting anything released? I know it takes forever, but
FBI just keeps. They'll send him one thing that says, "Oh, denied," and then they'll send him another thing that's like, "Oh no, it's going to come out keep an eye out in the vault," kind of thing.
They just keeping pressure on him though.
They just keep sending them the same kind of crap. Basically, FBI is like, look, we're going to release everything we got. It's just going to come out in the vault in our time, and that's pretty much it. We're just going to fulfill our requirement to the ZAID Freedom of Information Act. Because I've submitted a couple of names through ZAID. He's like, yeah, I can put these names in. I still haven't got anything. I know Lisa and you were trying to put in Braden's name.
Oh man.
I talked to ZAID recently. He's like, if you're following the data dumps on the vault, it's like you'll probably know before me. It's just like I have, all I can do is put the request in. We were kind of mentioning the hair before. That was something I was trying to get ZAID to make a request on that too.
No one knows where it is.
Yeah, so I guess Larry now has more clarification for us, right? So now Larry Carr is saying, so we found, I showed you those 2,000 files that talk about this hair sample, and they're trying to get it from LA. So I guess it does kind of make sense now that Larry kind of explained it to me, and this is kind of where I'm kind of leaning to how things are now. And I kind of was leaning this way initially until I saw the 2002 file, and then that kind of confused me. But basically, the 2002 file, trying to get this hair from Los Angeles. I was always wondering, like, why would the hair even be in LA, right? It should be in Seattle or it should be in Vegas, right?
Yeah,
those are the two jurisdictions. So I was already wondering, like, why is this hair even from? Why is LA saying they even have this hair? How did it get there? So Larry Carr's like, oh no, when I was in Seattle now all of a sudden he dropped this information because I guess there was so much that it got kind of pressed where he kind of had to say it, I guess. So he's like, oh, I actually looked when I was about to retire in Seattle, and I finally found that I did find that hair sample, but it wasn't DB Cooper's. It was a different suspects that they were trying to compare to Cooper's. So this was they knew who this guy was, and this was not DB Cooper's hair from the headrest. So that kind of eliminates that kind of clears the air on that.
Sucks.
If you want to believe Larry. So this makes
I don't know. I mean, Larry wasn't doing a whole lot of favors for anything recently.
Right. It does. The fact that it was in LA does kind of make me think that's actually true. So I'm going back to kind of my original thinking for now that both the hair and the cigarette butt got destroyed in Vegas shortly after when it got sent there.
Yeah. But why? Why would you ever, Well,
Larry will say that, it's not the DNA age, and they thought it was no use to him. But Bruce
brought that out.
Bruce shed some really good light, I thought, on your last.
That's why they're coming after Bruce. I think that's why they're trying to. I've seen that. How Bruce was talking about how they were trying to discredit him because some of the woo woo, which makes Bruce, and I love it. But I know now why they're kind of coming after him.
Right. Bruce got in there.
Go ahead, Ronnie.
He got in and just said, hey, at the time, they just weren't professional in that aspect of things, with the DNA. They didn't know what they didn't know about that. That wasn't a big pressing subject at the time. And they didn't do their due diligence. And all Bruce said was it wasn't their thing at the time. Wasn't their high priority. They screwed it up.
Exactly.
But to lose the cigarettes, though, I'm like,
right.
Because even
nowadays,
without DNA, though, even though DNA didn't exist, if you found a good suspect and everybody said, he smokes Raleigh filter tips, and they're like, how do you know Cooper did?
Right,
you don't have them anymore.
Right, right. And it's actually it's what's so infuriating is in the first part of the memo, it says we can use this to get a conviction. Right? It talks about the hair, how they could use it to get a conviction if they have to go to court. This guy's brown hair. Look, here you go. Also, Bruce talked about the saliva. Yes, you couldn't get DNA, but you could get the blood type, right? So they didn't even try to do that. And it makes sense now when Bruce talks about how the FBI just pretty much had regular cops in the lab. They probably, I don't know, maybe it was like it maybe cost more money to have some of these more like science type people in the lab. But they didn't have those type of people in the lab that would have known, hey, we got to keep this shit. They had regular cops that just had that kind of Larry Carr, how Larry Carr says, well, yeah, just store it away. They don't know the science, right? Larry Carr's like, they just, dust it for prints. You can take you have the prints, you could take a picture, blah, whatever. Yep. Right. But Bruce talks about this guy, how he ended up pointing out how the FBI lab was very flawed for this very reason, that they didn't have the right people in there for almost decades. Right. And then this guy ends up doing a report, doing this thing, putting it out. And then guess what? Oh, early retirement for the guy right away.
Forced retirement.
Right away. Right. So
I mean, they want you to think there was a conspiracy almost.
Right. Yep. Well, I can see how you can see it, but now, I mean, it totally makes sense. They didn't have, like Ronnie said, they didn't have the right professionals in the right places throughout the FBI. Right. They had cops, but they didn't really have, they weren't, the way they were hiring was just probably, they were just all just upgrading cops and bringing them in where,
lackey cops and lame duck leaders.
Yeah.
See the alliteration there? Chairbound commandos.
Yeah. And occasionally you might get like a Harry Bosch, but maybe he's probably, because he's a Harry Bosch type, he's probably in some small city somewhere. He's not getting up the ranks because he's probably rubbing people the wrong way. So the people that are up there are not the actual, like, the right minds at that time. People were getting promoted in that kind of, in that position, just more on just kind of politics and just police work and that kind of bullshit. So I just don't think FBI, like Ronnie says, FBI just didn't have the right professionals at that time. Doesn't mean there still could be a conspiracy, because how could they really be that dumb? But
I guess it's possible.
Yeah,
I mean, look at,
going back to the hair. I just think it got destroyed with the butt. And I think the only thing they say, like they sent those two things to Vegas, and I think that first Reno letter, and I think the FBI still has that. So I'm like, why did they keep that and throw away the other two?
Oh man,
yeah, go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, that's another thing that just makes you shake your head. I mean, like you said, I think person's in play at the right time, at the right, early on in a case like this. Things happen. It happens in small town, cases. I mean, these cops, these investigators botch things early, and it's really hard to come back from. You
think that could have helped happen in Delphi?
Oh, absolutely. I really do.
Because I mean, that one just
they
kills
stomped
me.
it all over
you.
that.
I mean, because you're up in their area. I'm like, they gotta find this guy.
That's it. I mean, they have Bridge Guy in Delphi is similar to Cooper, because they have, they got a description. They got the guy on the bridge.
The cell phone video.
They got the little cell phone video. They got his voiceover. We don't have that in Cooper. We don't have his voice. But I mean, we do have enough to go off of, and they still don't have this guy. I mean, that's crazy to me.
Delphi kills me. I mean, because all these promising leads come up. You had the father and the son, and you had the other guy that was in prison that attacked that one girl like 15 miles away. So many good suspects, and then nothing.
Man, that community is in shambles. That Flora fire was 9 miles away.
Yeah, and Delphi kind of overshadows that, unfortunately. But yeah, people need to look up Flora fires, by the way.
Exactly. So it's just crazy. It's just like anything. You could have something hidden in plain sight. They always thought the Delphi killer was hidden in plain sight, whether he's on social media, whether he's pumping awareness. Like, this guy's out there, and we have enough of him, but we still haven't brought him in. It's just like the Cooper sketches. We got this sketch and this sketch, and the Delphi had a double sketch, and then, we got an older version, now a younger version.
Right. You had the older
guys.
You had the older and the younger. I mean, do you lean towards either one of those? I mean, one kind of looked like the landowner a little bit, but it wasn't as thick. But then they never explained why the sketches were like so off. Kind of like Cooper, they go all over the place.
Yeah, you got you got two sketches, you got a bunch of different possibilities now. You got father son, you've got, was he older and then shaved to look younger? Was it two guys? Was it an older guy and a younger guy? I mean, Cooper, you just got a couple different, composites that are just like, they're pretty close, but I don't know.
Flo's was a lot different. Flo said that he, in the Unsolved Mystery, says he didn't look like that.
That's true.
Like she disagreed with all of them.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's tough. You got witnesses on the plane. You've got Tina. You've got, he's about 5'11" to 6'1", skinny, swarthy complexion. Yeah. The hairline, and then you put that all in. But man, who's to say? That's the beauty of Cooper is you don't know. We didn't know then.
He's an everyman.
We don't know. Exactly. There we go.
Yeah.
It's anybody. He's like blended in.
And speaking of the whole swarthy, like how it kind of got to Latin, I think Dave made a good post on the group today about like it was already kind of like the profiling's been going on, and kind of just we don't even know since the beginning. This is the beginning we were born, and like the whole thing of like skyjackers before DB Cooper. It's like those guys were usually swarthy guys going to Cuba.
Absolutely.
He's going to He wants to go to Mexico.
Think they were conflating that a little bit then?
I do think Cooper wasn't like a pale-skinned white guy for sure, because they wouldn't make that confusion.
Like McCoy.
But I think kind of throwing in the Latin or possibly Native American. Yeah. Like they don't even know. American. First of all, they're trying to like associate associate indigenous things with skin tone. Or that's you're already kind of making an inference there, right? So it's just like the Latin that and all that is just you're kind of trying to make an inference. So I think he definitely had at least like medium skin, like he wasn't like
he wasn't pale,
he wasn't pasty white, but like I think the Latin or like all that is just that's just kind of possibly just some speculation on the FBI's part or on Flo's part. Or I think that comes from Flo. Actually, Flo had definitely had her thoughts and her ideas. Yes. But again, she wasn't even paying attention to Cooper right away because she gave him a note and she still just walked right on by.
She thought she was going to die after she understood it, though.
After she understood it, but then she's already looking under distress. Right?
She was already under the stress. That's why they say Bill Mitchell was one of the best.
Right. So her first
he didn't know the plane was being hijacked.
Right. So her lens is already under duress. Right.
Yeah.
Mitchell's wasn't. Right.
And he was jealous.
Mitchell reminds me of that guy with like a Teen Wolf, like Letterman's jacket.
He does.
And he's just looking over there and he's pissed off at this guy for getting all the play. And he's like, why is this guy with a receding hairline kicking my ass in this department?
Right.
And
with the turkey neck.
I love that. I love that character. That's how I see.
Yeah, and just kind of my little interpretation here. I could be wrong, but Mitchell's wife that he ended up marrying is a blonde, and he said, I think he had.
He's still mad. He was making up for it.
Yeah, so Bruce and him are still a little salty. They both got rejected from Tina.
It happens. Yeah.
But he was jealous. He was jealous because I think he had a little crush on Tina. I think this cute blonde. He was hoping to get some interaction, and he didn't. And he
Cooper stole the show again.
Cooper stole the show from him, man. He's like, yeah, man. He's like, no one's on this plane. Everybody's old and up front. I'm gonna get some small talk, some boredom from the stewardess.
I'm gonna smoke 8 cigarettes and drink some bourbon, and we're gonna hang out and we're gonna rob this bitch. Let's go.
Cooper had a whole different plan for Bill. What Bill Mitchell thought what was going to go on for him.
I love it.
He probably wanted Mitchell to move too. Remember, Mitchell said he had his books all out there, which I didn't know until I saw. Whoever streamed Mitchell from CooperCon, thank you, because at least I got to see that. Someone streamed it and it was great.
Yeah,
he said he had his books all out around him, like he was kind of like studying, and a lot of other people moved up, but he didn't. And Cooper was like, "Man, come on, dude, leave."
He said that in the Washington State Historical Society interview too, and Larry. I got into it with Larry a little bit because on the group he was like gung ho that Bill Mitchell got and all the other passengers got moved up to the front right away because he's like oh yeah that's obviously that's what you would do, right? You would try to get everyone away from the thing, but according to Bill and according to everything else, it's Bill did not get moved up to the front until they started going for the landing. So Bill was there. He even told Bruce he took a nap there. I mean, he if they pushed him up right away, he wouldn't have known about all this test. He wouldn't have known about all the interaction with Tina or anything like that, right?
That's
so
true,
Bill. I believe Bill when he says everything because Bill.
What is he at? He don't have a reason to lie about that.
He doesn't have a reason to lie,
and he was always honest about not being able to remember what Cooper looked like after all the years. So I take what he said that day to the bank. Turkey neck, I take it to the bank. I know some people fight me on that, but I take it to the bank.
I take it as gospel.
I see that too.
Honestly, because his story hasn't changed to day one, and the reason why he still remembers stuff is absolutely totally sensible to me because he said in the Washington State Historical Society, the reason I remember all of this, the reason I still remember all this stuff is because I've told this story. I've been telling this story since.
He stayed in the pocket with the story.
He's had to tell the story over and over and over again. And they asked him, "Do you remember if he was swarthy?" He says, "Nah, just looked like a regular white guy." Do you remember if he had?
That's interesting, Nicky. Because there was, I mean, I'd say like 8 out of 10 said some form of swarthy or dark skin. And then Mitchell was just like,
"Yeah, he just looked like a regular white guy to me." Right?
I mean. And
did you notice a tie clip? Nope, I didn't notice a tie clip. I just noticed it was a skinny black tie. Well, that's consistent. It's hard to see a tie clip too if if he's got his coat jacket on and he's and he's turned and you got him at an angle.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And the swarthy, I don't think, as I said, I think
like you said, they conflated it maybe because you have that whole hitchhiker. Well, they didn't know though. A lot, the passengers didn't know it was being hijacked, but they know they know after the fact that it was hijacked when they're being asked what he looked like.
That distorts everything. You have to.
Yeah, and then you have people that want people that want to get in the story, like on the Nimoy thing. You got that guy
Simmons,
that Simmons guy, right? I think I've talked to you about it, Bruce.
Yeah, and he lied, didn't he?
Bill Mitchell says in his Washington State Historical Society interview, right? He said they let everybody else go, and then he was the only one they kept back afterwards. Yeah. And everyone kept saying, "Oh, that guy saw him." He was talking about the FBI agents. That guy saw him. That guy saw him. So everybody kept mentioning back to Bill. Bill remembers that the FBI agents keep referencing back to him as they talk to. It seems like as they talk to everybody else, and they're saying, "Yeah, maybe someone said they caught a glimpse," but Bill's the only one saying, "Yeah, I got a good eye on him," and that's why they kept him after. Everybody else didn't get a good eye. Everybody else.
Yeah, and like we were talking about, he wasn't under the stress. And he paid attention because he was jealous.
He was jealous. So he was under,
like you said about
a keen observation for a good amount of time.
With the turkey neck, and Braden had a turkey neck. I'm just saying.
Did to an extent. Klansnick did to an extent. But I hang my hat on the turkey neck. Like I really do. If Braden didn't have one, I'd say, yeah, I better go back. I mean, seriously. I've always told Nicky that, and Nicky agreed with you. We've always been turkey neck fans because it was just such an honest remembrance that they wrote down. They wrote that down. The FBI wrote that down. They put sagging chin, and Bill Mitchell also remembered that Cooper spilled a drink, and they wrote that down on the 302.
They did, and you know what's that's funny, dude, because I just recently saw the 302. Looks like you're pretty familiar with it there, Drew. And I never asked him about no one I think's ever asked him about the spilled drink, and it's there.
No one talks about it, right?
No one asked. I've never asked him about it. He's never been in none of the interviews. No one's.
But Mitchell. Oh, you mean Mitchell?
Yeah, no one's ever asked Mitchell about the spilled drink, but it's in the 302 with under.
Clearly, they wrote it down. Spilled drink.
But I've never.
They wrote sagging chin for the turkey neck.
They did, and then they wrote that he observed Cooper spilling a drink, which I just recently saw that 302 because again, Bill Mitchell's testimony recently also got brought into question, right? So it's like, who do you want to believe? What kind of testimony you want to pick and choose? You can kind of be selective with that, right? But then, I'm just like, man, I think Bill's 100% legit in everything he said. So
absolutely.
And then they're trying to Larry's trying to bring him in question a little bit like that. So I kind of stood my ground on that, and I'm just like, dude, Bill's testimony is completely legit.
A+. Yeah,
but
it's not like he said big ears like McCoy and
Weber. Like I don't know. He didn't say it about McCoy, but Weber said it about Weber,
and he called
Weber
him
had a big face. Like,
he called him
old. Weber looked like Kramer from Seinfeld.
Exactly. You would have known. He sticks out. I mean,
and
McCoy.
Yep, and
McCoy's ears were huge. They called him Dumbo in high school. I mean,
true.
And Weber had big ears, and I he didn't say it about McCoy, but he did say it about Weber. He said, "I would have never missed those ears." About Weber
wouldn't.
So that could apply to McCoy too. And
Weber or McCoy, they wouldn't have taken
Weber or McCoy.
They wouldn't have taken a reserve shoot. They would have used them ears, and they would have came down.
Yeah, that's right. They would have flown down. They wouldn't have needed it.
Yeah, that's kind of fun, but. No, I mean, Mitchell's spot on. I have no reason not to believe Bill Mitchell. He was awesome.
And he's honest.
I'm glad he went to
CooperCon,
man. Yeah. I'm hoping he's there at 2022 here. That's going to be awesome.
What do you guys think that Eric will be successful in getting, or anybody for that matter, getting Tina to show up? Tina's been more available. So do you think we'll get Tina out?
Yeah, dude. So, Tina, no. But
no,
Bill,
you don't think so?
Tina Mucklow?
Do you think she would finally go to CooperCon with the movie coming out or whenever it comes out?
Good exposure.
Maybe
exposure.
Maybe Joey and Don might come back around because they were.
But then if Joey and Don go, they would bring her with them, right?
Well, I don't know if Tina just wants to open up the floodgates because you're there. There's going to be a lot of people, and there's going to be a lot of people that can get at
Yeah,
you
that
and
might not
ask
be
you
her thing, but
questions.
Yeah.
that would be huge though.
Oh, that
That'd
would
be
be
awesome.
awesome. I mean, maybe they could get her a limited cameo on stage. I know Eric's tried in the past.
Let's hope. I mean,
You know,
But
that's
she's come out a
let's
lot more
say,
lately though.
right? Yeah, but
yes.
now
Well, she
her
kind of
life,
has to though if you're gonna be
right?
part of the production. But
Yeah, but now her life rights are signed, so that's probably going to be exclusive to McFarlane Productions. Is kind of what.
yeah, but if he's with her,
Yeah,
Yeah.
hey, I'm hoping Tina's got to be a little bit more out there now. I'm hoping, and we can
Be
maybe
sweet.
we can get her there. I'm not saying this is a complete no shot, but I just think the odds are low.
Slim.
But hey,
Yeah.
we'll
Hey, we could try.
we'll see exactly. We can absolutely try.
Little Cooper miracles
we'll
here.
try. Yeah,
Can
Packer
happen.
Jack mentions Alice Hancock. People always forget there was a third flight attendant. She
Yep.
only saw Cooper when he passed by. I think Alice Hancock was in first class, right, Nikki?
Yep.
I've never heard of anybody trying to go locate Alice Hancock.
So Galen Cook's the only one that's been able to get her, from what I know. So yeah, she's been completely off the radar. But Alice, to me, I'm not too interested in because Alice was in first class and she was taking care of everybody that was up. She's taking care of the cow. She was serving olive soup to the Cowboys. Possibly to Skippy Fenn for all you fanatics out there. So she was taking care of first class. So basically, the roles got pretty much defined pretty much quickly, right? So Flo got the letter. She freaked out. Cockpit Radachek saw that she was freaked out. So they kept her in there. Tina was a little bit, the first call Radachek says when they talk, she's a little shaken up. But then the next call, Radachek's like, she sounded like, boom. Like, he didn't know what happened, but Tina sounded like she's ready for the task. Yep. So Radachek's like, all right. So Tina's my best. Tina's our best shot here as being intermediary. She's already had some communications. She relates some confidence to Rat that he's like, all right, we're going to keep Tina here with Cooper. We're going to keep Flo in the cockpit as taking notes. So Flo became the secretary, and she stayed there the entire time pretty much until she needed to go back to get her purse where she asked, I think went through Tina, or I'm pretty sure went through Tina. And then Cooper's like, yeah, come back and get it. I don't bite. That's another little line Cooper threw in there. I don't bite kind of funny.
Well, now that sounds a little like Rackstraw though.
Yeah, that kind of does.
Well, but I mean, no funny stuff. Let's get the show.
Yeah.
On the
I'll do the job. Yeah,
I'll do the job. That kind of stuff. So Flo went back there to get her. I'm sure Flo's already terrified. She's not going to be going to get her person. Oh yeah, staring at Mr. Cooper there, the guy with the bomb. Nah, she probably had her head down and went right to get her thing and just went right out of there. Pretty much kind of feeling Flo's vibe from the beginning. So
absolutely.
Again, Alice, I don't think had really much interaction. Maybe she went by his vicinity for a time or two, but again, Alice already knew what's going on. She's not going to be staring at a guy with the bomb.
No.
So.
What's that Albuquerque photo that Packer Jack's talking about?
Oh, there's some Albuquerque suspect. Man, I'm not too. That's one thing I haven't got too well versed on. It's one in the files. I think they think it's something connected with Fadden because he's from New Mexico.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's definitely a Finn connection.
Yeah, you heard of that one, Gonzo?
I think I might know, but I don't want to embarrass myself if I don't know. We'll dig into that though.
I've never heard of it.
It's definitely Finn connection.
There's been some posts on the group recently about the suspect from New Mexico. Basically, it seems like from what I read, Florence thought. Well, again, so Florence. I think Florence also said Kenny was the best. The best looking guy, right, Drew?
Yep.
She said, "Oh, Kenny."
Yeah, I think they remember
he fit the description better than everybody else.
Right. Yeah. So Flo was like, "Oh, he's the best."
I kind of remember that now. I kind of It's been
so
a long time though.
Flo saying Kenny was the best guy I've seen. Someone that showed the picture to Flo, but before that, the FBI showed Flo this Native American or this guy from New Mexico, real swarthy looking cat, and she's like, "Oh, this is how he looks like. This is a good." So I think what happened was
he was nothing like the other guy. Nothing like Kenny.
They looked into him. It didn't. that again, he didn't. Yeah, exactly. So that's like it's. I was also thinking that, like you're just saying, Drew, he didn't really look exactly like Kenny. So we have 1 minute where Flo's saying, "Oh, this guy looks a lot like him," and then the Kenny pictures, he's like, "Oh, this is like looks like the most luckily closest I've seen," but he doesn't even look anything like the first New Mexico guy who she said I think looks like him. And then so basically the FBI was using that New Mexico guy as like a template because they looked into him, but nothing checked out. But Flo was like, oh, but he looks so much like the guy. So they were kind of using him as like a template.
As a template, yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay, so like what's different? Like so like he looks like this, but what's different? What would you change around him? So that's kind of what I think what's going on there. So I didn't do too much due diligence into it, but I don't know. Packer's probably done more work and he knows more. He probably enlightened.
Yeah, maybe Packer could cover that tomorrow too. Yeah, I love.
I'm interested.
Packer's very precise. He's got PowerPoints. Like he makes good presentations. So looking forward to what Packer got. He's not just
it's gonna be good.
He's not just
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So
that's gonna be
man,
on,
we've been hitting it hard tonight.
Warriors,
Shoot, man, we could do this forever, but man, we're over 2 hours with it. But shoot, but Gonzo, going back to you because just trying to wrap it up, and I'm definitely gonna have you on again, and maybe we can do now that I've tested the stream with 3 of us. Maybe we can come back with like Bruce or we'll do one with Packer or whatever. Now like we can get more people on.
What with it?
I'm glad that the stream's holding 3 guys, which is great because I was a little worried. Like, yeah, we'll try because every time we try to do third person when I do my show with Noreen,
something drops
on
out.
Paranormal Zone. We like a lot of viewers. It's like we have a third person on, it starts dragging it. But this we had a couple of glitches, but this has been pretty smooth.
Good. Yeah, I'm excited to be here, Drew. It's been awesome. I could chat
man,
Cooper with you guys
fun.
all day. I mean,
everything you're doing, and I'm gonna make sure we put everything we talked about in the links. That article about your treasure hunt and the map and everything's in the links to this, and I'll put another link to Nicky's YouTube channel, and then Gonzo has a YouTube channel. But Gonzo, what's the best place to keep up with you? I would say Instagram when you're doing your photos and stuff.
Yeah, I'd say the gram. I'm more of a photo guy than.
Your photos are great.
Live.
I look forward to everyone you do because they're so artistic and.
Thank you.
I want to put this one up.
Oh,
you had this Cooper. You had like this skeleton Cooper jumping out. Where did you get that?
Yeah, so I found that. I actually found that on Etsy, and I was trying to find the artist because I want to put that on something in my movie. So. That's not mine,
cool.
But it's super rad. The other spots in West Yellowstone, right by the that Finn find.
The treasure, the treasure spot.
Let's talk about that real quick.
Oh, that's what you're pointing at, then, right, Gonzo?
Yeah, I'm pointing back into over 9 Mile Hole in West Yellowstone, courtesy of what Nicky B and Lisa and some other people helped me get to that point. I was just one of the closest people to it, and I was like, man, I'm there. I'm 6 hours away, so.
So you just
I'm running around. Yeah, I just hooked up over there. I knew that spot was going to get blown up by a lot of people. I mean, I covered it with respect and tact, and I didn't, blast it all over the web. But I definitely really wanted to go feel the spot out. And courtesy of Nicky, I mean, he helped out instrumentally on that one. So
wow, I didn't even know you were helping there.
Yeah. So Gonzo, I think he was the second. I know Rudy Green, so
Rudy,
a fanatic. He was the first person. So the court released a document with the coordinates to the money find spot out of this like crazy frivolous lawsuit, but it actually got a bunch of documents released and gave the coordinates to the spot according to Jack Stoof. Rudy already went out there, and I sent it over to once the season came. I sent it over to Ronnie, and I think Ronnie was the second person after Broody to get to the Forest Fen treasure spot.
I think so. Yeah, and I mean Rudy's done amazing work. That dude is a classy dude. I follow what he does. If you check Rudy Green out, he's amazing. But yeah, I got out there. I just wanted to verify it. I wanted to stand in that spot, just like being on the Delphi Bridge, just like, Drew, when you went to, some of the Zodiac spots. Yeah. You just have to see it. I'm a firm believer in that. And I sat there. I did a lot of research into it, and I just soaked it up, man. I figured not very many people have stood right here, and this could be history. and I wanted to capture it, but also be really respectful about the area and not, blow it up for the masses to come trample it. Keep
Yeah.
it cool, keep it hidden. So
Yeah, that's super great. I mean, just that, yeah, because it's historical now.
yeah,
But
I
Yeah,
think
you want to
so.
keep it pristine,
right.
and it's such a beautiful area already. You don't,
And one other
True.
thing I wanted to mention real quick is Ben Napple in the Forest Fan community. He actually in a poker for the Fanatics also have their version of CooperCon. It's called a World Series of Fen, and they were incorporated around a poker tournament. And
that's cool.
yeah, there was a
It's way
poker
cool.
tournament. Yeah, poker tournament last year, and then Shiloh, I guess, who's Force Fen's grandson, right? Am I correct? Am I correct
Yeah.
there, Ronnie?
Yep.
Yeah. So they gifted some of Forest Fen's flies, to give away, I guess, for the poker tournament, or they gifted them and they decided to incorporate it in the tournament, or I don't know exactly how it went down. But now, so Ben won the tournament and he got the flies and he buried them in typical in Fanatic fashion. He buried them somewhere, I think, in the Colorado area, out in Ronnie's neck of the woods, and he wrote his own poem, which he calls the Impossible Poem.
Yep.
And I know Ronnie's been working on that, trying to get the Fenn family flies. Is that right, GonZo?
Yeah, that's exactly what's going on right now. Lisa's in here. She's an expert in that. Yeah, I've got a lot of help in that, and I'm going after them. And I'm gonna do some. If I do get them, I'm gonna put them in a really cool spot. I'm gonna honor what Ben did, and we're gonna keep it rolling. That's how this stuff works. You keep it rolling. You give back, and you pay it forward. So that's kind of what I want to do with it. So let's see where it goes. But yeah, I'm all over that one.
Man, I think Ben would be happy if you found it, man.
I hope so. Yeah, I think
That
it's
would be
Well,
awesome.
I know he would. Just,
Yep.
you know.
It's gonna be
That'd
cool.
be awesome.
Good
Yeah,
keep
and,
this
stay
stuff
on the
going.
book hunt, Nikki, for GonZo and Lisa, and I'm
Yeah,
gonna be on the
so
hunt. I want
yeah,
to find one
yeah,
just for that. That's my hunt. Just find one of these
yeah.
books.
So I'm planning on
Treasure.
linking up with Inva when I'm down there for CougarCon this November. So hopefully
Yes.
I can get my hands as many copies as she wants to give me, and I can get them out to you guys.
That's gonna be cool. That's treasure in itself, right there. That's
Yeah,
for
that's
the
treasure right there.
hardcores.
yeah,
One of the hardcores. Man, I'm stoked.
I didn't appreciate it at first, but definitely Ha 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 is definitely a piece of Cooper lore. So
Absolutely.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for coming on, guys. We'll have to do it again
thanks for having
soon.
us,
Maybe with
dude. Yeah,
Bruce. And,
definitely,
yeah,
bro.
it's always fun talking. And I guess Nikki, you're the one that you and Ronnie got together, and then I started seeing Ronnie doing some things, and then it had him on. I had to because this guy's so super cool, and it's just like one cool guy knows another, like you and Darren and GonZo, just such
We
awesome
gravitate
guys
to
out
each
there.
other.
Yeah, I don't know
Exactly.
exactly how it came up. On
Exactly.
I might have gotten on Gonzo from your page, or I don't know exactly, but I think I think it was. I was like, I always like check DB Cooper hashtag. I got it like on my Instagram, and I think Gonzo started posting some things with DB Cooper hashtag, and it always came up on it started coming up on my feed. I'm like, oh, who's this guy? And he's working on this film with like DB Cooper Incorporated. I'm like. Like you saw all those pictures and you're like, oh man, like this guy's fucking rad as hell. I got to figure out what he's about.
Yeah, man. Yeah, like I said, I'm just here to hang with the cool kids, with the cool Cooper kids.
Oh, you're the cool dude.
Man, I call them Cooper heads because I like the Grateful
I like
Dead.
that Cooper heads.
So we got the Cooperites, the enthusiasts, the Vortex.
The Finsters and the
Finst. There we go.
I call them the Fanatics, yeah.
And the Fanatics.
Yeah. It's huge.
It's this weird marriage of the two camps. We got the Cooper camp and the Finn camp, and then all these crossovers now.
Yeah, dude, we all have similar passion and energies, man. We're looking for outlets, whether it's
we're soul seekers and truth seekers, and we want justice and
truth
the cool
seekers.
stuff.
Yeah.
That's it, man. This is soul searching. This is a good crowdsourcing network. I'm just excited to be here with you guys. And yeah, man, I'm going to keep pushing forward on Cooper. I know that Nicky's digging deep into something right now, and it's
Oh yeah,
phenomenal. And, Drew, obviously everything you've done with Braden, your book, I'm gonna finish the book, and then I'll get back with you on that. We'll
much
keep in
appreciated.
touch.
Yeah, anytime, man. Anytime, we talk Instagram. Nikki and I use Messenger a lot, and
Absolutely.
Nikki's hitting high gear like later at night when he's like really hitting hard on Facebook groups and reading files and
He's a
dudes
grinder. He's the machine.
obituaries of guys that worked at Rim Crew. I mean, you name it.
Yeah, he's a marathon man. This is Cooper's a marathon. It's not a sprint, and
Yeah,
Nicky's built
such is
for it,
life.
man. Yeah, and you're built for it with the countless hours you put into this thing. I mean, like I said, I hope if we get more episodes of the docuseries, it starts to kind of give a little bit more shine to some of these hard workers.
Yeah, and Darren
Eric's
finally got
doing
some
great.
new. Thank God, it took a while, but Darren finally got
Yes.
some national.
I
everybody
love
knew
that.
about the vortex, but to get finally Darren got some national due.
His approach, his organic approach, and his style that he's pulled everybody together. Oh man, he's done phenomenal work. Bruce is the mayor, Nicky's the chairman of some. Man,
There you go, chairman.
Darren's definitely on that Mount Rushmore of
rad
dudes in the Cooper vortex.
He is such an awesome guy.
And without him, I might not know you guys. So, I'm here.
Yeah, without
it.
Darren, I wouldn't know you guys.
So
that's where everything started. Well, from Bruce.
Exactly.
Mountain News, and then because Bruce did the first vortex.
Yep. Oh man, and that's mind blowing stuff. So, yeah, I'm stoked to have you guys, in my camp and be in your guys' camp, and I'll be at CooperCon. I'm gonna bring my little short film out there. Hopefully, I'm done with it by then, and
that would be
we'll
fantastic.
make some noise. So I'm excited. So
brother, yeah. And if you got it ready, man, we can definitely premiere it at CooperCon.
That would be incredible.
Yeah, yep. I'm sure Eric can fit it in. With in between the Bigfoot. Last year we showed like a long, I think a 3 or 4 minute Bigfoot documentary. I don't think that thing's come out yet, but
I'm working Bigfoot into this thing too. I've got Bigfoot.
If you merge Bigfoot into Cooper or anything, I mean,
Ronnie, man, if you get that,
I'm there.
Yeah, if you get that ready, brother, because it's going to be at Kiggins Theater, so they have this huge.
Yeah,
it'll be a big screen, big screen surround sound. That would be cool if you could put that together. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of fanatics in the house too, so they'll love that, man. So. I'm trying to help you out too in any way. If you need some pictures, some stills, something, any Cooper area shots, I'm definitely down to help you to get that together. So maybe a little cool, show your little cool montage, maybe like you can even put it on like during like a little break time or something and have that jamming,
that'd be
freaking awesome.
Super cool.
I bet Eric can make that happen.
I think so.
Nikki,
no
the exposure is really cool. Yeah, like I said, I got some good throwbacks to Cooper. I got a little bit into Bigfoot there, a lot of Oregon history, and I got my own spin on the case. So basically, you're gonna figure out what we do with the money here. But it's gonna be fun, man. I'm excited. I'm ready for CooperCon and ready to keep on digging with you guys, and we'll keep grinding forward. So.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll find the link for the show that Jack's talking about for tomorrow.
Okay. Sweet.
Where he's going to play the Bruce piece again, which is
I'm excited.
Which is fantastic. That'd be great. But yeah, man, thanks for coming on, guys. We'll do it again soon. This has been a lot of fun.
No problem.
Absolutely.
Thanks for always being the most gracious host, man. And,
thanks, man. Appreciate it.
We'll talk soon,
Drew.
fellas.
Appreciate
you guys are two of the highest on my list of all time, man. You two guys, Darren, are like. And Bruce are up there at the top.
Well, thanks, Drew. We appreciate your time, and it's been awesome, man. We'll see you guys again real soon.
Cool. All right, thanks, guys.
Brother, mahalo.
Later, Nicky. Later, Drew. See you guys.
Have a good night, guys. Thanks, everybody in the chat.